It's always good to have Tony in the room. Thanks, buddy. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2024 South Texas All Hazards Conference. How's everybody doing this morning? Anybody besides Tony had your cup of coffee yet? It's good to see you all this morning. This room is going to fill up before the morning is over with, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. We have a lot planned for you today. My name is Tim Smith, Chief Meteorologist at KRGV Channel 5, and I'm happy to join you as your Master of Ceremonies once again this year. It's good to be back. You know, this is such a great event. This is the 10th anniversary of the South Texas All Hazards Conference. Hard to believe we've been doing this for 10 years now. For the past decade, this conference has provided a growing number of first responders, emergency management personnel, and essential employees with access to experts in the emergency management and emergency preparedness field from all over the United States. They all come here, and it's all at no charge to this critical element of our community. No charge. That's the best part about this. This year, we're pleased to welcome more than 2,000 people here today. And give yourselves a round of applause. 2,000. And actually, it's like 2,400, and Eddie said this only seats 1,800, so it's good you got in here early. Everybody else gets to watch from the lobby, so we're excited. There have been more than 70 experts and 90 exhibitors. So by being here today, you're really showing your willingness to stay on the forefront of preparedness, or whatever it may be. You know, I was thinking just yesterday, in fact, about how this is the group that constantly has to think, what if? Right? This is the what if group. You sit around at night, around the campfire on a Saturday night drinking a beer, and you have this kind of, what if this happened, and what if that happened? Yesterday was one of those what if days. What if a ship hit a bridge? And it happened. You know, we think about in the valley, you know, what if a barge hit a bridge? It happened. And this is the group that has to be ready to respond to whatever that what if is. So thank you for being here today. It really is important that you're here. You're making a difference in our communities all across South Texas, so we're glad to have you here. At this time, I'd ask that you please rise as we prepare for the posting of the colors by the City of McAllen Fire Department Honor Guard. This will be followed by our national anthem, which will be performed by Stephen Garza. Please remain standing and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Please remain standing. Each year we honor our fallen first responders, officers, servicemen and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice while answering the call to duty on behalf of their community or while serving this great country. These selfless individuals possess extraordinary courage and compassion. For all who dedicated their lives to serving and protecting our communities and our nation, today we honor their memory. We also honor the lives lost to COVID-19. They may be gone, but their memory will live in our hearts forever. Thank you. You may be seated. Wow. Now you're here, right? Welcome. We're so glad you're here, and thank you to McAllen Fire Department, all involved in that. Now for an invocation, please welcome McAllen Commissioner Pepe de Cabas. Pepe, just come on out, Pepe. Also the Assistant Chief of Staff for Hidalgo County Precinct 1, Pepe Cabeza de Vaca.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Beautiful day in the city of McAllen, isn't it? I want to start with thanking you, every single one of you, for being here. I first saw disaster very close when I started working for Hidalgo County Precinct 1 with Commissioner David Fuentes' office. And 2018, 2019 floods were no joke. It really was an eye-opening for a lot of us. And I was so very glad to see all the agencies, and I'm talking about all the agencies, coming together in aid of those colonias where we're underwater, and trying to help and helping and assisting. You know, during COVID, every single agency came together to help our community. So definitely, guys, you guys make the difference. So thank you so much for being here. Please bow your heads as I ask for God's blessing on each and every one of you today and every day, as we work to protect and secure our community and all of our residents now and whenever disaster may strike. Gracious God, make each of us an instrument of your grace. Wave us into a community showing forth your power and tenderness. Bless us and our difference, and give us the courage to stand together and respond to the disaster, the emergency, or the danger that our community may face, so that we can protect our neighbors. We call on you today to gather us in your love, to serve our brothers and sisters in Christ. And let us always remember that our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you all. God bless you guys and protect you always. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being out here today. And now for the official welcome. To provide this morning's welcome will be McAllen Mayor Javier Villalobos. Mayor Villalobos became the city's 21st mayor in June of 2021. An attorney for over 25 years, Mayor Villalobos previously served as City of McAllen Commissioner for District 1 from 2018 to 2021. Please welcome Mayor Javier Villalobos.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Y'all didn't drink enough coffee. Bienvenidos to McAllen. Thank you all for being here. We're pretty excited today. My understanding is that there's about 4,000 participants, and that's amazing, right here in McAllen. And the last time we were here, we talked a little bit about McAllen, about what a great place it is. That's my job, but really, I think a lot of you all know what McAllen is, what we offer, so I'm not going to tell you much about it. What I am going to tell you is the last time I was here, I think I told you about our safety, about how safe our city is. The last time I was here, if I remember correctly, we were the 6th safest city in the country. I can't say that anymore. Last year, we were declared the 3rd safest city in the country. McAllen, Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, the 10th annual All Hazards Conference. Thank you all very much for being here. I think we all know, we never know when a man-made or a natural disaster is going to happen. We don't. I think you all saw what happened in Maryland. Was it Maryland? With the bridge. What happened to us in Padre Island 20-something years ago. We never know. But we must always be prepared, so that's why I'm very happy that all of you are here today. When you're out there, we need to make sure that you're properly trained, that you're effective, efficient. When you're out there protecting our families, our properties, we also need to make sure that you protect yourselves, because you too need to go back to your families. That is very important to us. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you. Thank you for existing. Thank you for doing what you do. May God bless you and protect you always.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate your words this morning. Also for a welcome this morning, to offer a welcome to our Hidalgo County's Hidalgo County Judge Richard Cortez. Judge Cortez is presently serving his second term in office. As county judge, he also serves as the Emergency Management Director for our county. So please welcome Judge Richard Cortez.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning. And Mayor, I don't know, looking at this crowd here, after they leave, you may not be the third safest city in Texas. Anyway, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 10th Annual South Texas Hazards Conference. And congratulations, this is the 10th year, so congratulations to all of you. And as I look over this room, I see a collection of very dedicated people, but I also see a group that may provide inspiration for the rest of this region. This year's catchphrase among public experts and local business organizations is a realization that our community is much stronger when we act as a region and not as a single entity. But this group already knows that regionalism is the best way to go. Through events like this conference, emergency planners, first responders, such as yourself, have long known the value of teamwork, of stepping forward to help our neighbors during times of crisis. Not only does this make this group more prepared for any type of disaster that we may confront, it allows us to develop bonds, to create a sense of team, to foster community. Those are the lessons that our policymakers and business people can learn from this group. Over the past 4 years, beyond a deadly pandemic, this region witnessed a major hurricane, a flood event, a deep freeze event, and left much of our community without electricity or water. And yet, here we are, ready to learn from your experience, ready to share with others in the name of public safety. I commend you for that, and I thank you. I pray that other community leaders not directly involved in emergency planning draws inspiration from your dedication and your commitment to learn more on behalf of our communities. These past several years have been perhaps the most challenging years for our professional lives, but we as a group have emerged wiser, more unified, and more sympathetic to the needs of our neighbors. All of that adds up to strength. Strength in character, strength of our safety net, and most of all, strength of community. Conferences such as this one only makes us stronger, more unified, and more aware of the importance of being prepared. As the statutory head of the Emergency Management of Hidalgo County, I see firsthand the positive impact of federal, state, and local partnerships. I take those lessons seriously as I advocate for the rest of our community to adopt a concept of regionalization. Together, we are stronger. The unity that you exemplify, the purpose that you demonstrate, the commitment that you make over the next 2 days are inspiration for the rest of Hidalgo County and the Rio Grande Valley. Thank you for contributing to strengthening our region, and best wishes that this conference, like the last 9, are a success. And finally, I want to thank Eddie Olivares and our chief, Ricardo Saldana, and all those helping with this conference for putting that together. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. So good to have you here. You know, I was thinking about it. The name of this conference really says so much. You know, we used to have hurricane conference and tropical weather conference, but this is an all hazards conference. Because you think about it, the judge mentioned the hurricane and the freeze, but this group is also prepared for the causeway and Alton school bus and all the things that happen that are not weather related. So it's not all my fault, is what I'm saying. It's not all weather related. I don't cause all the problems, maybe some of them. But we do appreciate the fact that, again, it goes back to that what-if scenario. You have to be ready for anything, and we appreciate that. Our next speaker today is Eddie Olivares, the Chief Administrative Officer for Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. He's going to be presenting leadership awards. He's responsible for the implementation of various public health and human service programs and works closely with our Office of Emergency Management. He's been involved in healthcare for over 35 years, and during the pandemic, he led the health department and its employees in responding to this worldwide health event. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Eddie Olivares.
Well, good morning, everyone. Animo, people, animo. A little bit buenos dias. Well, I tell you what, I have the greatest honor bestowed on me. One, I need to thank a couple of people. One, I need to thank the Lord God and His Heavenly Son, Jesus Christ, for a beautiful day and a wonderful event, and that He continues to save and support all our first responders. Amen to that? And I have to thank my wife. She puts up with me. So she's been very patient with me. I got to give that. So I'm good. The two most important. What are you doing here? Oh, my God. And my son's here. Nancy, I'm going to kill you, Nancy. They've never been at one of my presentations, ever. I think I broke this. Oh my God, what an honor. Let me introduce you to my wonderful wife, Elida. My son, Aaron. My daughter, Ana. And my daughter-in-law, Martika. They do so much and put up with so much. And if you ever want to go to a fun hurricane party, when Chief Saldaña and I are doing the IC stuff, the Olivares house is the best hurricane parties in the world. They do them. I'm sorry, I delayed. God, I was not expecting this. All right, so without further ado, I got smudge marks on this all over it already. But we need to recognize someone in our community who for many years has been a tremendous partner in public health, emergency response, law enforcement, firefighting. He's covered it all. And you know, it's difficult to come up with these leadership awards and dedications because all of you deserve this. Each and every one of you in this room deserve one of these. But there's always that one individual that seems to go beyond the call of duty and is always there for you. And today we're recognizing someone who, in our perspective, meets all those areas. This recognition reflects the unwavering dedication and upholding the law, protecting the communities, ensuring the well-being of others with your selflessness in the face of challenges and undoubted inspiration, and earn the respect of those around you. Your commitment and justice has not gone unnoticed, and this award serves as a well-deserved acknowledgement of your exemplary service. I'd like to present this year's Leadership Award to Sheriff Eduardo Eri Guerra. It's definitely so careful. Oh, okay. There you go. Look at that. You're going to do a photo? Let's do a photo here real quick. This way.
Yeah, I'll hold on to that.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, no, you stand right here, sir.
Sure.
Hey,
Tocayo, man.
good morning. How's everybody doing today? Great. Well, I am honored and I'm very humbled to accept this award. I accept this award on behalf of the 879 great staff members that work at your Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
But not only them, to the great first responders that we have right here in Hidalgo County that did an outstanding job during some of the worst times that we've had, a time where we didn't know how to handle ourselves in this pandemic. But we were great to have great leadership in our county government, from our county judge to our commissioners, to our county health authority, but most importantly to our county health director here, Eddie Olivares. He did such a great job leading us. You know, I'm the chairman of the Southwest Border Sheriffs, and that's the sheriffs from San Diego, California to Brownsville. And I put on a conference here for them a couple of years ago, so I got to know what it's like to put on a conference. And I know it's hard work, very hard work, but to put on a conference like this, a successful conference for the past 10 years now, to see what this man has done for the past 10 years, and I want to congratulate him, his staff, for a great job that they do constantly in this all hazards conference. Let's give them a round of applause one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm very humbled and I'm very honored for the past 10 years of being the sheriff in this great county, the 7th largest county in the state of Texas. And again, as Director Olivares first came out, I also want to thank God for giving me the great opportunity. I want to thank my family for being supportive. And I do have one member of my family that's here, third day on the job as the emergency management for the city of McAllen, my son, Miguel Guerra. Hey. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. You gotta hold on to it. Right, so, got another? Here we go. Yeah. Wow, this one is super special just because he's a dear friend of mine. But he's a mentor, and he is someone who committed so much of his life and his personal commitment during the pandemic, and for the last 22 years has served in his role. This recognition of dedication and support goes to Dr. Ivan Melendez. Dr. Melendez, for recognition of over 20 years of service and well-deserved acknowledgement of your outstanding contributions to public health and to the profound impact you have made on the lives of those around you. Your critical guidance has earned you the respect and admiration of your colleagues, community, and congratulations on this esteemed honor. Thank you for your invaluable services as your medical authority. Ivan.
Thank you.
Love you, my friend.
Thank you, man.
There you go. Wow. There you go.
Wow, thank you. Good morning, buenos dias. Usually when I come out to speak, there's a couple of steps so you can see me over the podium, and then a hook so you can pull me off. What can you possibly say, right? Perseverance, humility, gratitude, and of course, service. When I was in high school, most of us boys that were raised in the 1960s wanted to be astronauts. And so when the Navy came to my high school, I, of course, applied to the Navy flight program. And they told me I didn't have the right stuff. Who would know that 15 years later, I would be flying helicopters in Afghanistan and Iraq. 4 years later, I was applying to medical school, University of Texas in Austin, and my pre-med advisor told me, you don't have the right stuff. Your GPA is too low and your scores aren't that good. A year later, I was choosing between 8 medical schools that I could go to. I couldn't get on the football field except as a water boy. So I started playing tennis, and all my life I wanted to go and be an athlete, like most kids growing up in the 70s. I didn't have the right stuff. But 15 years later, I was showing up at Evander Holyfield, Manny Pacquiao, Raul Marquez. I was in all the major arenas. I was traveling the world, Dubrovnik, China, Germany, working for HBO and Showtime as a physician for the real heroes, the athletes. Many, 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 many stories about perseverance. Those of us who are out here listening, those of us that participate in this field, we're here because we persevered with gratefulness and with significant amount of humility, because what we do really requires a lot of humility. All these years as you go through life as a boy becoming a man, you have these dreams of doing these great things, and they're always focused about you. When you turn about 30, you realize that all your dreams have one thing in common. You're serving people. And as you get older, as you have experiences with death, as you die, as you get coded, as your heart gets cut open, as you hear God while you're dead, you understand that it's about service. It's always been about service. We don't even understand that because we're kind of geared toward what's in it for me. But there's not a person in this room right now whose motivations and whose dreams have not gone through the funnel of service. We're all here to serve each other. And so when you're out there and your days are hard and you feel like no one appreciates you, just remember that gratefulness, gratitude, those patients that amaze you by saying, at least I only have cancer in one organ, or I know I'm sick, but at least I can see my wife is okay as you're taking her in your stretcher to the hospital. It's amazing where you can find gratitude in places you thought it didn't exist. So remind yourself of the service that we do. 30 years from now, someone else will be living in your house. I know my father's name, and I know my grandfather's name, and I know my grandfather's father's name. That's it. Soon, 30, 40 years from now, 50 years, no one will even remember my name or yours. But what we'll remember and what we'll produce are the lives that we've touched, the love that we've given, and the example that we've left for people that come after us. This has been one of the greatest, I guess, achievements of my life, to come home and to help my people.
You know, it's interesting because today we have Marcus Luttrell as our keynote speaker. And and today we're really honoring and supporting all our veterans, all the men and women who've served and guided us during these difficult times. And I see a gentleman just walked up that a past leadership recipient, Mr. John Hawaii, just walked in. I love that man. He's a good man. Yeah. So, Dr. Melendez talked about his life. Sheriff Guerra talked about his years of service. But what does the future hold? What does the future hold for the leadership, for first responders, for healthcare professionals? What does the future hold? We look at everyone in this room. Many people here are less than 35, less than 40 years old. And they're the future. They're the future, a lot of them. So this year we decided that, we need to recognize and nurture and really look at cultivating leadership. and cultivating it with passion, with love, with support, and with encouragement that don't give up. And today we're recognizing such a person. This wonderful, wonderful professional community works with a very special population in our community. This year's Emerging Leadership Award is presented to Doctora Lidia Fonseca. Dr. Fonseca, please come forward. Dr. Fonseca is outstanding for exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to the residents of Hidalgo County. Your dedication to public health response highlights you as an emerging leader and extraordinary professional. She came to us a couple of years ago and said, why don't we develop an inclusion response committee that works with the deaf community, that works with the blind community, that works with the special community that's important in our community, but at many times we don't focus on that. So for the last 2 years, thanks to Doctora Fonseca's support and through the support of Vail, we've actually had a deaf track component where with her leadership and Chief Lopez, I don't know if Renny Lopez is in the room or not, from CERT team, the state of Texas has the first deaf CERT team in Texas. Hidalgo County does. Hidalgo County has the first deaf team, CERT team in Texas. And there's only 2 in the whole United States, and one's here in Hidalgo, and we're getting ready for the next cohort, for the next team. But this wonderful woman put this together. Doctora, thank you, Doctora. I'm going to put this back at Kevin.
Thank you for that. So this has been an amazing experience, and it really could not have happened if our leadership in Hidalgo County didn't welcome us with open arms. And so I do want to thank you, Mr. Olivares, for allowing us to be a part of this. It's been an amazing partnership. We're only hoping to grow. Our organization provides services to persons with disabilities across the entire RGV area. So we cover all the South Texas counties. So my call to action is for all the other counties to follow Hidalgo County's step. We want to be a part of it. If you really want to have whole community resilience, you need to bring the disability population to the table, even if it's in the planning stages, the recovery stages, long-term recovery. They have the answers, they know what the needs are, and they're going to be able to help you prepare for that. And so thank you again, and let's just lead on.
Congratulations to all those awards recipients, and well done on that presentation, because it's an amazing group of people. But I need Tony, what's your name? Oh, I need this guy to stay out here for a little while, because we want to welcome to the stage the president of the RGV Firefighters Association, Tony Lopez, to say something. Tony, come on out. Where are you?
I'll pass it to Chief Saldana real quick to get us started.
Morning. I think we surprised Mr. Olivares. As you see the group of gentlemen behind me, these are the Hidalgo County Fire Chiefs Association members. Mr. Olivares, I had the opportunity to work with them for a very, very long time. And I'm blessed to be a childhood friend of his, a volunteer firefighter with him in Mission. We came up the ranks together. Our parents, our dads, were members of the Mission Volunteer Fire Department, and that's how we began our career in the fire service. Unfortunately, Mr. Olivares took a turn. I don't know which turn he took, but he took a turn. Elida, we want to thank you and the kids for letting us have him for over 50 years in emergency first responding. my honor, Eddie, for what you're going to get here today. As a retarded fire chief and past president of this group, I am honored to be here on this stage with you, Chief.
Thank you. So Eddie has helped us a lot. Everybody in this, standing on this stage has worked side by side with Eddie Olivares for years. He's one of my mentors as a fire chief. He doesn't know that, but also in emergency management and everything that public health has to do is what we also embody as fire chiefs and as emergency managers. Eddie makes it look very simple when big situations happen. COVID came along, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. We had a game plan, gave us all our tasks, and we went and ran with it. But one of the things is that it all started when we were doing responses. Actually, the Rio Grande Valley as one of the first state responses, and we always talk about this, is where Eddie Olivares was part of the Texas first, one of the public works strike teams that went into Hurricane Ike in the Houston and Galveston area of major devastation with Hurricane Ike back in the day. He was side by side with Chief Peña, which was at that time still with Hidalgo County Emergency Management. They went up there and they got the job done. They represented the Rio Grande Valley, and everything that we are, encompass everybody in this room, is about teamwork, leadership, and getting it done as the Valley, as one. So with all those things being, with all those things, you know, it snowballs, and we're here today. So I know that Eddie, we have conversations all the time, and he's always like, you know, I'm not supposed to be here with you guys. I'm like, yes, actually, you are supposed to be here with us. We're actually following you. And he always says that, wait a minute, but I'm the only one not wearing a white helmet. Well, we're going to make that change today. So, the Hidalgo County Fire Chiefs Association has decided that we will make Eddie Olivares honorary fire chief. So as of today, hold on, I gotta pick.
I'm all nervous.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as of today, March 27, 2024, Eddie Olivares is known as Chief Olivares and will carry that title for the rest of his life.
Wow. Please sit down, guys. This is, wow. Thank you, Chiefs. Thank you. All I can say is really the one that deserves all the credit is my wonderful wife, Elida, who for 38 years, and Rick will tell you, back when I was volunteer, she'd respond with me to the fires. She'd go with me to all the fires. She'd go with me. She'd always put up with me being on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 38 years. This is the greatest honor of my life. And to receive it from my friends, my partners, my hermanos, means so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if we want to do a group photo. Let's do a group photo. Right in the room. We're going to do a group photo. Here we go.
The rookie fire chief usually buys lunch.
Congratulations, Chief. Well done. That's pretty cool. To the family, he was backstage a little while ago going, why is my family here? Now he knows. So it's so good to have you here. Thank you for being part of this. What a big day and what a great day it is. So wonderful. Congratulations, Chief. All right, we got business to do, right? First of all, thank you to Mr. Olivares, Chief Olivares, and congratulations on the 10th anniversary of this gathering. Again, we want to welcome all emergency management personnel, first responders, law enforcement officers, as well as city, state, local, and federal employees. The 10th Annual Conference is organized by the Hidalgo County Health and Human Services, Hidalgo County Emergency Management, the City of McAllen, and the Texas Department of Emergency Management. We know that is TDEM, with primary funding from the Texas Department of State Health Services. All agencies are interested in helping you become more proficient in meeting the emergency response needs of our community. We'd also like to thank a lot of sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do this without the sponsors who contribute to this event every year. Without this wouldn't be possible. So we appreciate that. So I'm going to recognize a bunch of them. Please hold your applause to the end because there are quite a few. For the 10th year in a row, Siddons Martin Emergency Group has been a platinum sponsor. We thank them for their invaluable support. See, they're excited about that back there. We also want to thank our other loyal platinum sponsors, including GMW JCB, Kenwood, Metro Fire Apparatus Specialist, the Rio Grande Valley Emergency Communication District, Safe Industries, and South Texas Communications. Thanks also to our gold sponsors today, Ashbrit and Dana Safety Supplies. And our silver sponsors are Cap Fleet Upfitters, Promo Universal, Rush Truck Centers, Tri-County Communications, and South Texas Auctioneers. So now let's give all of our sponsors a big round of applause. We appreciate them. Absolutely. And a few housekeeping things before we get on to our other speakers. This year's lunch today, you'll be on your own. You know, there's a lot of great restaurants within walking distance, so get there. But get back, because at 1:30, we're going to get started again this afternoon. So see if you can find some great food and get back here after the morning sessions in time for the 1:30. As a reminder, all of our sessions today during the All Hazards Conference are TCOL certified. And given the terrific success of last year, we're using the Whova app once again. So you can download that Whova app. They have all the session times, the room assignments, everything that you need to know, the speaker bios. If you haven't done it yet, scan that QR code right up there and download the Whova app on your phone, and then you'll be able to keep up with everything through the course of the day today and the daytime tomorrow. Also at 2:30 today, join us in the exhibit hall for snacks and refreshments. This will be time to network with fellow attendees, just get to know people, and that's where a lot of the big communication takes place, so be sure to be there for that. And the concession stand at the exhibit hall will be open all day. That's important. If you don't want to walk anywhere from lunch, just go to the concession stand. Tomorrow, the sessions will begin at 8:15 a.m. in the convention center. And once again, refreshments and snacks will be there all day tomorrow as well. And the 2:30 mingling hour, if you will. Finally, we want to acknowledge that we have an audience full of influencers. We ask that during this week's conference that you share what you're learning with your friends. Not just here, not just when you get home today, do that, but also on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll be posting pictures and updates throughout the conference of everything you're seeing here today. Make sure you tag us and use the hashtag 2024 STAHC, the South Texas All Hazards Conference. We'll be sure to retweet and like your post. So please do that today. All right, let's move on with our guest speaker. Our next guest speaker for this morning, David Gruber, currently serves as Texas DSHS Associate Commissioner for Regional and Local Health Operations, Border Health, Emergency Preparedness, and the Texas Center for Infectious Diseases. He spent more than 2 decades in the U.S. Navy, and after retiring, he became the senior planner for the Dallas County Health Department in Dallas. This was followed by service with the New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services, the Office of Emergency Medical Services, and the New Jersey State Public Health and Environmental Laboratories. He has a BA in microbiology from Rutgers University and his master's in strategy from the U.S. Army Command and General Office Staff College. Please help me in welcoming Associate Commissioner Dave Gruber.
Well, good morning, everybody, and what an honor to be here. This is the 10th conference, as you've heard. I think I was at the first one. I've been with the state of Texas for 10 years now, and I think we were at the first one. Missed 1 or 2 of them in between, but glad to be back here again. First of all, greetings from our Commissioner of Health, Dr. Jennifer Shuford. If she didn't have a meeting with her boss today, she'd be here to welcome you, but she wanted to pass her best on. I promise I'll be here for less than 10 minutes, but probably more than 4 minutes. How's that? One thing I wanted to think about was, over these 10 years, what's changed? I think the major thing that's changed is that picture. That's actually me. But aside from that, the thing that just an observation, over the course of those years, the things that I observe as changing a little bit is a shift from prevention being a major reason why we exist so that things don't happen to response. And we need all of it. We need prevention, we need response, we need recovery. But if we focus on just responding and start migrating away from preventing, we're probably not doing ourselves the best service. We talk about it's, we're honoring our veterans, and I just wanted to reflect something in the military. As a Navy pilot and an instructor, we'd spend a lot of the time during our flights practicing emergencies, so we were ready in case an emergency would happen. But the thing that saved the most lives, the thing that changed things from what we had was an accident rate when I first got in the Navy of about 14 Class A mishaps, and Class A mishap defined as either loss of life or loss of an aircraft, to a rate from 14 per 100,000 flight hours. And figure if you look at how many flight hours are flown a day, and 14 of those 100,000 either result in loss of life or loss of aircraft, that's a lot. So there was a lot of things that went into place, and we brought it down to about 3 to 4 per 100,000. But the thing that went into place was not the pilots doing better in the aircraft responding to the emergencies. It was the preventative maintenance. It was the preparing for things. It was the programs in place prior to actually stepping in an aircraft so that you didn't have the emergencies that you had to deal with. But if you had to deal with it, you knew what to do because you'd been practicing that with standard procedures. Another example of prevention for the, whether you're guns and hoses or bugs and drugs, you can appreciate that certain things have changed. For example, if you look at our fire community, and congratulations to Eddie Oliveira's great job as chief, honorary chief right now. But, and I'm not a fire guy, so help me if I misstate this. If you look at fire code, if you look at fire alarms, if you look at how buildings are built right now, the prevention of the fire as opposed to the response to the fires are probably saving more lives. If you look at seat belts, it's the preventing of an injury from happening by EMS response and saving a life when they get there. Not to say, again, that any of this response recovery is minor or should be subservient to prevention, but just not to forget prevention is a key aspect. So that's the thing that I just wanted to say a little bit about, but the key thing is to welcome you, to hope that you all have a great day, great few days here, and that you take back to wherever you're going something that makes us all safer, helps us all, and truly stays within the mindset of the South Texas All Hazard Conference. So thanks again, and have a great conference.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate those words. Our next speaker today is David Coatney, the director of Texas A&M Engineering Extension. Chief Coatney has over 40 years of experience in public safety and has served as the agency director and CEO of the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service since 2019. Mr. Coatney holds a master's degree in public service administration from the Texas A&M University Bush School of Government and Public Service and a master's degree in organizational management. Additionally, he is certified emergency management manager, chief fire officer, executive fire officer, and a graduate of the Naval Postgraduate School's executive. Please welcome Director David Coatney.
Howdy. Oh, y'all look serious right here. I don't know. I'm a little worried. Am I in trouble? So, welcome to the conference. As all of you know, TEACS is all about training, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Now, I know I have some slides back here that you'll see. All I see is myself when I turned around, though. And it'll keep me on track for what I want to talk about. But, you know, hasn't this already been a great conference? I mean, some of the things that have happened have been amazing. And Chief Valdez, I know he already went behind there, but with that helmet comes some pretty good weight, other than the weight of that helmet itself, and he's very well deserving of that honor. To be recognized as honorary chief is a very big thing. I've given out those helmets before in my time. So where are we at here? Still me. Okay, so what I'll talk about is I really think there's tons of conferences to go out there. And this is probably one of the lead conferences people can go to. And the reason for it isn't just the quality of the training, it's the quality of the people that put this on. It's an amazing program surrounded by amazing people that make it work. It also is very important that it begins at the beginning of hurricane season. We're just starting to walk our way into hurricane season, and we all have to get our minds wrapped around what that means. This is a really good start for that. Another important conference you guys know about is the TDM Emergency Management Conference. And of course, our Leadership Symposium. And if I look back at myself again, okay, so we'll just keep talking then. And so let me talk to you a little bit about what TEACS does. For those of you who don't know, the reason this training is so important to us is because that's what TEACS does. We train people. We train about last year we trained about 212,000 people across the 118 countries. It's very important that we get out there and we prepare all of y'all. The people who wear uniforms and don't wear uniforms. The people who do just normal everyday things at home and prepare themselves for some types of disaster and get ready for that. And the folks who wear the uniforms to help respond to those disasters. One of you guys over here to the left, let me know when there's something behind me other than my head, okay? Nope. So, and you know, when you start looking at the depth of knowledge it takes to actively go into an emergency scene, keep your head about you and know what to do and kind of follow these steps to do it, that's important. So how do we train people? How does TEACS get you ready for this? How does this South Texas All Hazards Conference prepare you for this? Well, it's providing a various array of different training programs that not just go into your discipline, but then address the needs of those communities. At TEACS, we see the need for this to occur across the state, across the nation, and across the world. But we're heavily invested in South Texas. It looks like something else is back here, huh? Hey, what do you know? That's my name. Move forward. Okay, so we're heavily invested in what happens, especially in the Valley. But before I get to the Valley components to it, this little picture back here talks to you about an emerging risk and threat to what we do for a living. EV and energy storage systems are great. They're great for our environment. They're great if you don't want to pay a lot of money for gas, but with them comes risk. And as we started looking at the risks are related to lithium-ion batteries, the risks are what happens when they burn. So from a firefighting perspective, we really can't put these out. And they release certain toxins when they burn. Up to, depending on the chemistry of the battery, 6 poisonous gases, 4 heavy metals that are carcinogens. And that's going out in the air, cooling, and then falling back to the ground. So our responders, police officers who get there before the fire department, the firefighters, the paramedics, the occupants of the homes, are all being exposed to that. So TEACS has pivoted from what we normally do, which is training, and gotten into the research world. So we're working with South Texas Research Institute, which is outside or inside of San Antonio. And they're doing some initial training for us so we can find out exactly what's contained in the products of combustion and whether for firefighters, whether we can actually clean the gear that firefighters wear on a regular basis and put that back into service. Also, we have to warn people whose homes we go into when an EV or an electric scooter or a micromobility device lights off and goes in thermal runaway, what contaminants are left in the house. That leans us forward into an area we haven't really been in before in research. But fortunately, we are part of the A&M University system, as he mentioned, and there's tons of researchers there who can help us. So we'll move on to the next slide. The Public Works Response Team. This is what a lot of y'all do. Years ago, we had the Public Works Response Team as a core component of TEACS to respond, and then we aligned with Texas Division of Emergency Management to bring this really into a different realm of response capabilities. This is a group of folks who understand that while we all get upset if a car gets burglarized or our car catches on fire, our house catches on fire, we really get upset when our water stops working or the electricity stops working. So these go into small and rural communities that don't have huge forces to go resolve these issues. And originally, post-COVID, we thought we were going to go into the space and kind of supervise, watch what was going on. We've actually been down here, Laredo, 150,000 people without water. That team came in to help the city of Laredo fix things. They guided them along. But in smaller areas of Texas where the infrastructure is not as good or there's not as many people wanting to work anymore after COVID, they don't want to work for certain jobs, our people have been hands-on to repair some of these communities, their water needs, their electrical needs. We respond as part of the Keeping Texas Prepared organization, where 5 state agencies, TDM, the Forest Service, TEACS, AgriLife Extension, and also the Vet Med Diagnostics Lab come out to help restore things. You look at the fire that we had in the Panhandle, and all 5 of these agencies were important to take care of people's needs. That's what y'all do on a daily basis. They're doing it kind of in a microcosm of what you're doing on a wide version. Next slide. So, Texas A&M Task Force 1 and Task Force 2. How many of you have all been engaged or are part of the task force teams? Anyone? I actually can see hands here, so it's kind of nice. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. I know we're working through some issues with the task force teams, and they're there for urban search and rescue. So we think of them coming out during hurricane season to help stabilize things, rescue people. They'll come out during structural collapses. They'll do all kinds of things. But sometimes they're doing these things. They're rescuing livestock. They're helping out. When you see some of the floods, there's no other way to do it, and if there's no human risk, we're service-oriented, just like everybody wearing a uniform in this room and everybody not wearing a uniform in this room. We want to help people resolve their problems, and our task force helped do that. They were deployed to the Panhandle during the fires. They were helping with a lot of different things, whether it was damage assessments, looking for people, you name it, they're involved. Each of us is integral to responding to a disaster in our own way. We all have to be connected and tied together, but equally important, we have to understand what each other does, because that's what gives us the synergy to really move things forward for the betterment of our citizens. Next slide. All right. So, back to College Station. This is what we affectionately refer to as Rella South, because we don't have a name for it yet. But as we talk about this, you'll see what I'm talking about is not just the fire service, not just law enforcement, not just emergency medical services or emergency management. We're talking about a holistic approach to this. And what a lot of people don't think about is that it takes the Public Works Department to really make things go round and round and round a lot of times. When the emergency services people pack up their stuff, give each other a high five for what we've done, it's the Public Works team and people like them who come back into the community to stabilize everything. The volunteers organizing disasters, the electricians, the plumbers, all the people who come in and get us back up to what we consider our daily lives. So what you see behind me is not only a joint public safety training center where police, fire, and EMS will train, but it's also integrated with a public works and utility training area. And they'll all be training side by side during their training evolutions, because that's how we work on a daily basis. So we wanted to make sure to provide a field where all these people could work hand in hand and be more comfortable with what they're going to see. Because sometimes we don't want them to see the first evolution of them all working hand in hand to be on disaster day. We need them to see that before. And the next slide. All right, so this is something that we're pretty excited about. Down in Brownsville, we're helping with workforce development down there and advanced manufacturing. We're giving basic skills to folks so they can have a job, they can live there, they can train there, and they can work there. Thanks, Mark Posada, for coming up with that slogan. But Mark is our boots on the ground who's taking care of business over there. And we believe in this project. We believe so much in this project, we went to the Board of Regents and the Chancellor to pay for a $30 million building to put down the Port of Brownsville to help us advance the workforce development programs we have and the advanced manufacturing. We're getting ready to actually do groundbreaking for this next Tuesday with the governor down in Brownsville, the Port of Brownsville. So we're very excited about this. We think this is going to be a game changer for what TEACS can do into the RGV and help advance the RGV into tomorrow. All right, the last thing I'm going to say about these hyperlinks, if you go to them, TEACS is known for training, but we're also known for charging for training, right? Well, what we're leaning forward into is as new and emerging threats come out to the first responder community and all that you do, we want to make sure that you're getting access to this training free of charge because it's important for you. So the energy storage systems, the electric vehicles we just talked about, that's an emerging threat and trend to this industry, to all of our industries. We don't want Border Patrol agents or police officers or firefighters going into an environment where they don't realize what their exposure is. We want them to know what they're getting exposed to. So we want to get this training out as quickly as possible. So this is all free that you can go to. And that's important. As we lean forward into it, we need to make sure we're providing you the tools and the knowledge to make sure that you stay safe and you have a long, happy career and an amazing retirement. So enjoy the conference. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate the words and excited to see that out at the Port of Brownsville. That's going to be really cool. All right, the next speaker today is Gloria I. Chavez. She's the RGV Sector Chief for the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. She assumed command of the Rio Grande Valley Sector on October the 9th of 2022. She's a member of the Department of Homeland Security Senior Executive Service and is the Chief Patrol Agent for the U.S. Border Patrol's Rio Grande Valley Sector. She directs the operational oversight of 9 U.S. Border Patrol stations and 3 checkpoints, charged with securing 277 river miles, 317 coastal miles, and 34 counties, encompassing 34,000 square miles. She previously served as CPA of the El Paso sector. Chavez has over 25 years of law enforcement experience. She earned a Master's of Arts degree in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense from the Naval Postgraduate School, and graduated magna cum laude with a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice Administration from Columbia Southern University. Chavez is a graduate of the Senior Executive Fellows Program at the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. And most importantly, more important than all of that, she's a native of Brownsville, Texas. Please welcome RGV Sector Chief Gloria Chavez.
Nice touch, I can see that. Thank you, whoever did that. So good morning, Rio Grande Valley. It's great to see all of you this morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the conference for allowing me to speak just a few minutes this morning. I see that I have members of my command staff. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate you all. You know, the Rio Grande Valley sector is comprised of 34 different counties, as it was mentioned. We patrol about 277 river miles and very close to 300 coastal miles, all the way to the seam of Louisiana, right? So our agents are quite busy. We have a force of about 3,200 Border Patrol agents and about 500 civilians behind the scenes, helping us get our mission accomplished every day. Everything that is done to secure this region in South Texas, all the credit goes to them for the work that they do every day and the sacrifice that they put forth on a daily basis. If you can see on this map here, it shows 3 stars. Those are the 3 checkpoints that we have here in the Rio Grande Valley. There's 2 main arteries. I'm sure many of you have gone through our checkpoints in Falfurrias or Kingsville. Very productive checkpoints. A lot of seizures, a lot of arrests of individuals, especially criminal organizations that continue to smuggle narcotics right through that area. We also have stations along the river, along the border, and stations all the way up to Corpus Christi, Texas. And we continue to work with our intelligence divisions and targeting divisions to work all the way the region, all the way up to Houston, Texas, as we see every day how illicit commodities, narcotics, currency, and such are connected directly to the border region that we patrol here in the South Texas area. To begin, I want to talk to you about 3 things today because our time is short, but I wanted to be very specific to highlight 3 things. The first one would be mass migration. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about is going to be threats, and then the third one is going to be capabilities. On the mass migration front, it is our daily job to secure that border, regardless of whether it may be migration, narcotics, or anything else that comes between the ports of entry. Here recently on the mass migration front last year, at the sunset of Title 42 authority, which was an authority that was granted to us by the previous administration during the COVID years, was lifted. That was on May 11th. Well, no one really knew what to expect. Many expected the ports of entry to be flooded with people coming across from all different nationalities. Well, we were very surprised that come May 12th, the very next day, we started experiencing a mass migration surge in the city of Brownsville, Texas, right next to the golf course, right next to Texas Southmost College. A total of, I think it was 26 days that passed. In those 26 days, we encountered and processed 45,659 people. 45,659 people in the city of Brownsville in one zone, one area alone. If you look at that number, those of you that remember seeing the images in Eagle Pass, Texas, in Del Rio sector, where many Haitian nationals were under that bridge, those images, that was 16,000 people. Brownsville, Texas encountered 45,000 in 26 days. The reason that none of you, especially our communities of Brownsville, didn't really feel the hardship of that was because we have extraordinary teams of law enforcement, partners at the local level, state level, county level, federal level, and organizations that continue to help us to get the mission accomplished. Border security, in our eyes, is a team sport. It is not something that we own ourselves because we can't. We don't have the resource available to do that. So we lean on our partners to maximize our full potential and be able to mitigate any threat that comes across that border. In Brownsville, Texas, as you can see, this was Camp Monument. This was Zone 19. And it was an area that we started working together with the city of Brownsville, the mayor, the city council, and the partners that were there. I think I made one phone call to the city of police department, the city of Brownsville, and Chief Sauceda showed up right away to help us with perimeter security. We started reaching out to the sheriff's department, Eric Garza, and then we contacted Hidalgo County Sheriff Guerra, and we started working with all the other law enforcement. EMS was one of the first entities that showed up to render aid for the families and people that were coming across that border. You know, it's super important that we lean on our incident command system and training that we as law enforcement all go through. It's super important that we know the tactics and the procedures for that because that's exactly what we set up. It was an ICS commander who was J.L. Gonzalez, who's sitting right here in front. He was PIC of the Rio Grande City Station. I pulled him from that and I said, you're the commander on the ground here for this operation because it was significant. The city of Brownsville, Texas Southmost College, everyone came together to allow us to use this as a camp and processing. One of the things I want to highlight significantly is the technologies. Right here in our backyard in Brownsville, Texas, we have huge technology that comes to us from SpaceX, Starlink. We utilize Starlinks. We leaned out to them, asked them for help. They came and provided a Starlink so that we could have technology available at a handheld device that we have. It's the Android Team Awareness Kit, or ATAC, where agents nowadays are able to process people on the ground at the border without having to transport to a facility. One of the main goals that I had for that operation was that we did not want to see a surge and a camp like we saw in Del Rio, Texas. Because once we lose control of that, then we're never going to catch up with it. So what we decided at that time was, with JL's guidance and leadership on the ground, Ms. Liz Almanza, who was his deputy, both of them came up with a plan to do a field-to-facilities operation, which meant we use handheld devices to process people, all 45,000 of them, take their information, run records check, but we needed links, so we used Starlink and Dejero technologies to help us and be able to process all these people and immediately place them in buses and in vans that we had, that we borrowed from the sheriff's department, that we borrowed from the law enforcement police departments, and then transport them to our facilities in Donna and in McAllen. The amount of work and logistics that it takes to move 45,000 people is significant. It's overwhelming. The mobile intake application system allowed our agents to intake people expeditiously at a moment's notice and move them quickly through the process. There were many that were flagged with criminal history. Those are the ones that we actually held on to, and we processed them and took them back into custody so that they would have a more longer, lengthy processing at the facility. Standing up Camp Monument, as I mentioned, would not have been accomplished without the stakeholder engagement from the law enforcement community as well as from the city of Brownsville. Everyone came together as a community to help each other out. The local hospitals were also available to provide support. EMS provided immediate support on the ground just to evaluate people that were coming across the border. And then our law enforcement stayed with us until the day that the operation dried out because people stopped coming. Texas Department of Public Safety is a huge partner of us. We continue to work hand in hand with them. They showed up and did a lot of the infrastructure investment, whether it was concertina wire, whether it was actual mobile units of Texas DPS troopers on that levee, or different Humvees from the Texas Military Department. So everyone came together, but it was done as a team effort. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish the success that we did. That is just one example of the mass migration that we deal with on a daily basis. The Rio Grande Valley sector this year, we start counting our stats from October 1st to September 30th. As of right now, here in March, we are at 97,000 encounters. We are 26% lower than last year. So we're in a good place, believe it or not, with 97,000 encounters. The leading sector on the southwest border with Mexico is Tucson, Arizona, followed by Del Rio, Texas, followed by El Paso, and then San Diego. So those are the busy areas right now because activity has shifted. And we always talk about the mass migration. We don't control the shift. The shift is controlled by transnational criminal organizations and cartels that dedicate their business daily for the trafficking of people, the smuggling of people and narcotics across our border. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the threat. You know, we work in a threat environment every day. One of the biggest concerns as the chief of the RGV sector is the threat of illicit drones. The technology is very advanced now. When we have it for law enforcement use, it's a good thing because we use it for security and protection. But when they use it for illicit means, like these cartels or transnational criminal organization, it is not a good thing. It's a very bad thing. Since March of 2022, we've been tracking the amount of drones that we have detected coming from Mexico into the US. We have 82,000 drones that have been tracked, monitoring our operations, monitoring the operations of every law enforcement that works on that border, monitoring the operations and the daily duties and work that the residents in that border area do, because they're always looking for ways to exploit and the ability to enter, whether it's narcotics or people. For us, it's very important that every person that comes between the ports of entry is very much verified. At the end of the day, it may not be a threat, it may not be a person of interest, but many times in that grouping or the mass migration situation, there's always a few that we want to make sure that we vet through properly through the process because they are not good people, and we've encountered situations like that already. For us, the 82,000 drone detections over the last 2 years is a significant threat. We do have surveillance counter drone systems. We just don't have enough of them to be able to detect the drone, acquire the drone, bring the drone down to a location safely where we are able to extract the technology that's in there to be able to assess the information, turn it into intelligence, and then go after them. One of the funny things about these drone operators is that they're not the experts with these types of technologies, so they're usually recording themselves with the drone. So when we acquire the drone, we know exactly who they are, we know exactly where they launched that drone from, and now we're working with law enforcement to be able to target them. Our partners on the south side in Mexico are phenomenal partners. We work with them every day. We couldn't do the border security job without the government of Mexico being there for us on a daily basis. The Immigration Service for Mexico, God bless them, they're not armed. They're out there doing the best they can to control the different groups of people trying to enter illegally into the country. But we also work very closely with the military in Mexico, as well as other state entities that help us with some of the movement of folks going through different zones and different areas. The availability of criminal elements exists every day. Our border security efforts are focused on deterring the illicit activity happening in those regions, especially the smuggling that takes place every day. Our biggest fear is obviously people dying on that border. Many times we run into situations where our agents, they themselves are placing themselves at risk because they're trying to save a life out there. If you look at the video that's behind me, that's a 4,000 capability video. It's very clear imaging. It's video that is used by their drones. That was an illicit drone, by the way, that was capturing their own activities, like they're proud of it. Like they record it, and I think they later have a barbecue or something, and they go over the video. But they record themselves loading, they record themselves inside the vehicle. We acquired the drone, thankfully, so now we have all their face recognitions and all the information that we need to target them. So God bless them. The other thing that you're gonna see as well, this is something on a daily basis that we see happen. The other thing I wanna talk to you about is the different groups that come in through areas that you would probably never even think of. We have a video as well of migrants in West Laco's area of operation. West Laco is an area that for the most part is pretty quiet, non-volatile. It's not like the Rio Grande City Station or for that matter, McAllen. But West Laco is busy, and it comes at times that we least expected. Groups of people come in through those areas, very dangerous area, vulnerable situations that migrants get placed in, and then they move them to a secondary location like a stash house within the community of South Texas. Working with our Stone Garden partners is super important. Operation Stone Garden is an initiative that was launched years ago by the federal government to work with local law enforcement by providing them grants. Grants when they support border security efforts with us, and many of these are very important initiatives and grants for local law enforcement because they're small departments. So for us, it's super important that they become our eyes and ears and are helping us with that border security mission. It comes in the assistance of overtime, equipment, and things like that, training that they may need in order to get up to speed with what's needed to support border security. So Operation Stone Garden is a phenomenal effort. It's something that we value very much, and we continue to support them throughout the 34 counties that the Rio Grande Valley sector encompasses. From fiscal year 23, fiscal year to date, we have seen an increase in marijuana by 26% and cocaine up to 41%. You know, the Valley is really the sector with the highest marijuana seizures. Don't know why, but marijuana continues to be our #1 narcotic that we seize, followed by cocaine, and then after cocaine, methamphetamine. So meth is the third one. The fentanyl that has been seized by Border Patrol has been at our checkpoints, but it has not been in high numbers for this region. We also have the floatovers, right? These are the people that make the makeshift floaters like this. They put Cherokee SUVs on there. The reason they use Cherokee vehicles like this is because it's the least weight of a vehicle that they can put on barrels like this to float them across the river. They're usually loaded with narcotics so that when it hits the riverbank on the north side in the U.S., the vehicle is turned on and it just continues to drive up on the dirt across that border. Narcotics are loaded. They're floated on the river on a regular basis. We've seen this happen all along the river at different stations in the sector. One of the things I also want to highlight is the seizures, right? So Brownsville, Texas, we do seizures not only for narcotics, but we also do it for bulk cash. And somehow here in South Texas, the bulk cash seizure is thriving. The illicit type of currency that moves between the border all the way up to Houston and the interior of the U.S. and then back is just in monumental amounts. Brownsville, Texas seized about $733,000 in one of the seizures that we made. We have some great connectivity with technology that we share with police departments throughout the entire state of Texas. And together we maximize the ability for us to seize these types of narcotics or monies from different vehicles. Brownsville, again, seized a currency of $302,000 and 5.2 kilograms of marijuana, 1 long arm, and 3 handguns. In Donna, Texas, at the port of entry, 270 long arms, 52 weapon parts, 1,541 rounds, and 210 magazines were seized. In Seguin, Texas, 50 kilograms of fentanyl were seized in Seguin. In Edinburgh, Texas, currency of $711,000 were seized, bulk cash seizure, from a vehicle stop that we coordinated with Edinburgh PD. In Rosenberg, Texas, another currency seizure of $266,000. All these seizures of bulk cash has been in coordination with the Border Patrol. We have some phenomenal intelligence officers as well as targeting teams that are working the intelligence every day so that we're able to pull these vehicles over on the highway. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about capabilities. The capabilities that we have within the Border Patrol. I love highlighting the work that our Border Patrol agents do every day, because it is to their credit the amount of detections, the amount of arrests, the amount of seizures that happen in our region. However, we do have special operators. We have people that are part of the BORSTAR team, the Border Patrol Search, Trauma, and Rescue team. These teams get out there, they're looking for people, they're rescuing people in the ranches, in the isolated areas. And we also have BORTAC. These are our Border Patrol tactical operators, and they're out there to assist with warrant. They execute warrants and such. This video that you see here, this is a video of a warrant that's going to be executed by BORTAC of a drone operator that lives in the United States. It was the first drone conspiracy case accepted by the Southern District of Texas. We work very closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office to be able to make the arrest of this drone operator that was operating along the border and being on a daily, being a threat to our agents. BORTAC, Border Patrol Tactical Unit, assists with executing warrants of high-risk subjects. We also have the ability to assist with natural disasters and the recent fires in Hawaii, for example. We had a team of people deployed to help out with that. In addition to that, we have Border Patrol agents that take on additional training and become mobile response teams, and they are for rapid response as well for emerging threats. They help us with mass migrations and other things that take place within the region. There's also a video that I want to show. I think it's this one of a rescue. This is a rescue of a mother and child that were attempting to enter the U.S. through the river here in the Rio Grande Valley. Agents aided and utilized life-saving resources to rescue the family. Very appreciative of their efforts, but very dangerous for our people, our agents. And every day I remind them to be careful jumping into that river, because the weight that they carry on their dumbbells and all the equipment with their vest and such brings them down into that water. So it's very dangerous when they're out there trying to rescue.
It's pulling you guys that way.
I'm so proud of their actions every day.
Keep this line over here.
Because they truly get out there to protect this great country, protect our communities, and rescue those that are in need in that river or in other areas along the border. The deaths, I think, for this fiscal year, we are at 38 deaths of migrants that have perished trying to enter into the United States illegally. And then the rescues, we're at 26 so far that we have tracked. So those are the three things that I really wanted to share with you about the things that happen in the U.S. Border Patrol. I only have 10 minutes. I'm looking at the timer, and it's getting really close. But I wanted to just give you a little glimpse of who we are and what we do. And I really just want to say thank you. Thank you to all the law enforcement, to all the agencies that partner with us. I don't see you all at once, but I meet you throughout my visits throughout the region. And I just really want to say thank you for being there for my agents. Thank you for being there for our communities. God bless every single one of you. And a huge shout out to all the ladies in this room today in celebrating Women's History Month. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing the work that's being done in our backyards, literally in our backyards. Let's give all of the agents, U.S. Borders and Customs Protection, Chief Chavez, a round of applause for the work that you all do each and every day. We appreciate you. All right, next speaker today is Assistant Chief Tony Pena from the Texas Division of Emergency Management. Assistant Chief Pena joined TDEM in 2011 as the first ever Region 3 state coordinator and continues to serve in the role today. Prior to joining TDEM, Mr. Pena dedicated a majority of his career in law enforcement and even served as Hidalgo County Emergency Management Coordinator for many years. While at Hidalgo County, he also served as Lone Star All Hazards Incident Management Team Leader and Coordinator for the Rio Grande Valley. During his career, Mr. Pena has worked through several disaster events, including Hurricanes Dolly, Alex, and Harvey, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Please join me in welcoming Assistant Chief Tony Pena.
Thank you, but Mr. Pena is my dad. I'm Tony. So, good morning, welcome. And you know it's going to be a great day, a great presentation when you get out of the truck, when you arrive here, park in the parking lot, you step out and you drop your cup of coffee, you're able to rescue half of it and still keep drinking it as you're walking up and you get to the building and they take your coffee cup away because you can't come in here with a coffee cup. Yes, it's going to be a great day. That's one sign, and then you walk in here and your electronics doesn't work. So your presentation's gone. So my presentation is here. And then, on top of all of that, you follow some great speakers that take, out of my 7 points, they've taken 4 of them. So it's going to be a short presentation, very short. So let's talk a little bit about leadership and what it is to be a leader. And, you know, TDM is a great organization. We've experienced a great amount of growth. And on behalf of the governor, Chancellor Sharp, and Chief Kidd, who couldn't be here today, you know, we're here to present. So coming off, and I didn't get to deploy to that one, but I had several personnel in here, both from my team and locally, that went to that fire. 1 million acres. A little over 1 million acres, destroyed a lot, took a lot of livestock, took a lot of homes. It's hard to fathom that. So Hidalgo County is the 7th largest county land-wise in the state of Texas. That fire is about 85% of the land size of Hidalgo County, to put some perspective on it. That's quite a amount of fire. It took a lot of manpower, took a lot of people, and took a lot of resources to do that. So we have the Incident Support Task Force internally, or that's an external agency, and I'd like to recognize a couple of people in here from Hidalgo County that got deployed to that. Belinda Alvarez and Jesse Diaz. Y'all here? They're probably over there working. And then the Alice Fire Chief, who's probably not here either. And then on the TIFMAS, which is the Texas Interagency Fire Mutual Aid System, we had a lot of agencies from South Texas that deployed to that one. We had the Alice Fire Department, Brownsville, Corpus Christi, Edinburgh, FAR, and Westaco. Thank you all, each and every one of you all, and each and every one of you that are deployed to that. And the leadership that allowed that to happen. Because emergency management is about cooperation. It's about working together. It's about sharing information, sharing resources. I look out here, I see many uniforms, but we all have one mission. What is that mission? When things go bad, we help bring order to chaos. Because nobody likes chaos, right? We all like to get up in the morning, get out of the truck, have your coffee cup, walk into the office, and it's still whole, right? And you're able to enjoy it for the rest of the morning. But chaos ensues each and every day. So emergency management is an all-discipline approach to bringing order to chaos. It involves law enforcement, it involves the fire service, it involves public works, it involves the medical community, the emergency response, the emergency medical services. We all come together and we make things happen and we bring order to that chaos. Because again, nobody likes chaos. So in talking about that, we talk about leadership and what makes a good leader. Who's a leader in here? There better be a bunch of hands. There better be a bunch of experts here too. Each and every one of you in here is a leader. You might be the leader of your pack, you might be the leader of your agency, you might be the leader of your organization, but you are a leader. Of course, you get home and they say, take the trash out. You know, it's like leadership goes out the window. Doesn't matter what position you hold, but it's still there. But leadership involves a lot of things. It involves mentorship. And this conference is dedicated to those that have served and those that are coming up to serve behind us. So what do we do when we mentor somebody? We teach them. We teach them things we've learned. Learn lessons learned from either book learning or things we've learned in real life. Lots of times those real life lessons are painful. We've lost partners. We've brought new ones into the business, and we teach them. And we're always, as we go up through the ranks, we always bring up those around us to make sure that one day, as the doctor said, you'll be done and gone, and 5 years from now, nobody will remember Tony Peña. Who the hell was that? Yeah, I remember that guy with the cowboy hat. It showed up every now and then, you know. But we always have to mentor somebody around us. You got to know your job, and you got to know the job of people around you. It's based on your upbringing. your upbringing in life, and your upbringing in your career. That's what leadership's about. Always be the best that you can be. Learn from somebody. Learn from everybody around you. Learn those lessons that are great, and learn those lessons where people make mistakes. Because those are lessons too. You put them on a shelf, things not to do, because I gotta say dear chief letters, and things to do and things to repeat, things to learn from other people. It's about respect. Respect for yourself. Respect for those around you. Respect for those that we serve. Because those people, those taxpayers, and sometimes non-taxpayers, pay for our salaries at all levels. Whether you're at the very basic school district level, at the county level, the city level, the county level, state level, or the federal level. It's about respecting each other, respecting everyone. And of course, it's about learning. Learning is a never-ending quest that we have in life. We learn from ourselves, we learn from each other. And then, of course, it's about honor. Honor for those that have served, honor for serving, honor for your family name. And that should be the first and foremost of everything that you honor, is your own family name. A lot of us wear name tags. Our family gave us that. Some of us wear badges. Our agency gave us that. Regardless whether you're law enforcement, fire, whatever service you're in. Keep that honor going. One of you all's mottos at the front here, Border Patrol, is honor first, right? But it applies to everybody in this room. Always be honorable in your actions and your deeds. Amazing how many notes you can come up with when your stuff doesn't work in the back room. So I'm going to keep it short. Lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you that's in this room and those that have not made it into the room. You're the one that answers the call every day. You're the one that saves the life of the many. You're the ones that help bring order to the chaos. I'm privileged and honored to serve alongside of you. So thank you. God bless each and every one of you, and all is well in Region 5. That's my Region 5, but that's everybody's Region 5. So thank you all for allowing me to present before you all. Have a great time at this conference. Be safe in everything that you do. God bless you all.
So far, so good? Everybody doing well? Good to see people in the balcony up in the cheap seats, too. That's good. I think I said this last time we were here. When you think about who's been on this stage, pretty remarkable. And if you were here last time, I apologize for repeating, but I remember when Tony Bennett opened the show. Who was here for that show? Anybody? One? Okay. Two of us. And I was sitting right about there is where I was sitting. And I remember when Tony Bennett would finish a song, the piano was here, and he'd finish a song, and at the end he would just do. And that meant you were supposed to applaud. And so let's practice. You ready? And I don't even have to sing. See, that's pretty good. You wouldn't want that because there wouldn't be applause. I'd have to do something more than that to get it done. All right, we're getting ready for our keynote Q&A. Before we do that, though, we ask that you join us in reflecting over the past 10 years that our conference has been active by viewing a special commemoration video produced by Jacqueline Trevino with the Hidalgo County Public Affairs Department.
Southwest World Hurricane Conference. You use the Incident Command System. It brings us together.
This is our Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management. Please welcome Chief Nim Kidd.
And welcome to the city of McAllen. It's been a great start for this conference.
These are my family. Always have been, always will be.
It's good to see people in person again after a 2-year break.
Ninth annual South Texas All Hazards Conference.
So the state of Texas had this conference called the Texas Department of Emergency Management State Conference.
And walking out one afternoon, I asked my boss at the time, Mr. Olivares, why can't we have a hurricane conference?
Nancy and I were at the conference and we were talking, so why can't we do a conference like this in the valley?
He said, we'll make it happen.
So the idea started, so we started brainstorming the idea.
We reached out to the Department of State Health Services and asked if there was any way they could support us. They obliged and provided $25,000.
Why don't we do it in McAllen and set up on a one-day conference, get the training done, and do it for free and not charge?
We reached out to the city of McAllen and asked if they would be willing to be partners of this type of conference, and they agreed, supporting us with $10,000. So year one, 2013, we had $35,000 to do our first event.
And that's how the whole concept started. So that's how it first started for the very first conference.
Extremely honored to be here for our South Texas Hurricane Conference.
The first conference was held on May 8, 2013, and had 528 attendees. Today, that number has more than quadrupled. Initially, the focus was on hurricanes, but over time, it was evident that that vision needed to expand.
By year three, we realizing that there's so many more emergent events that we respond to.
We started seeing H1N1.
National emergency of swine flu.
Biggest number of mumps cases in a decade.
Started seeing a mumps outbreak, issues with school shootings. So at that point, we said, you know what, why don't we move this from hurricane only to dealing with all hazards?
Thus changing the name to South Texas All Hazards Conference.
While some agencies have the funds to send their staff up north for training, for our smaller cities, that is not always an option. The All Hazards Conference provides expert-level training right here at home.
That we're the country's largest public health, emergency response, and first responder training conference in the country that's free. We do not charge 1 penny to any participant. 100% free of cost.
Most departments do not budget for such a massive amount of individuals to get trained.
Like Ed Cauchelsa or Peñitas or Sullivan City or Olmito, some of these small towns, to send their staff to these trainings that cost $200, $300, $400 a person plus lodging.
It provides a strategy for law enforcement, for safety officers, for firefighters, for first responders, for clinicians.
The Parks and Recreation, from the Public Works Department, law enforcement, firefighters, to attend a training with professional level trainers from all over the state.
I believe that this is a huge impact on our community. It gives us the fundamental foundation that we need to make sure that our folks in this region are well trained and have the capacity to learn and build off of past efforts. And the return on investment is just overwhelming.
Let's not be afraid to use the Incident Command System.
What makes the All Hazards Conference groundbreaking is the use of ICS, or the Incident Command System, to structure the conference. In an emergency event, ICS is used to command, control, and coordinate. By using it at the All Hazards Conference, when those involved are called to respond to an emergency, they are ready. And in the last 10 years, there has been a lot to respond to.
We've responded to assist with the immigrant situation and assessing them medically, supporting them and guiding them in dealing with immigration. We went to Hurricane Harvey and assisted in Ingleside, responded to the wildland fires in San Manuel area. The most obvious one is the pandemic. For 3 years of emergency operation, daily briefings and multi-day briefings throughout the week.
So COVID was one of the events in which I feel that the trainings that we received through the conferences, it prepared us for that event. Hidalgo County at large was not blindsided in order to respond to this emergent event. Everybody was very well trained.
As the attendance has grown, so has the All Hazards approach. The conference now features the Immunization Summit, the Regional Border Patrol meeting, and the DA's annual seminar. Most recently, a new partnership has formed with local inclusion organizations.
I got to tell you, these are my family, the members of my family, always have been, always will be.
The power of the All Hazards Conference comes not only from those that attend, but from the executive board who plan and organize the event every year. Many have been here since day one. The growth and success of the conference is a testament to the team behind it.
This conference takes a big team effort. There is a huge executive committee that is committed to this conference. I think it has become one of the most prolific conferences in the state.
We're very proud of our Hidalgo County team and our partnership with McAllen and all our partners. It's a tremendous effort. It takes a whole year to plan this. Our committee starts the week after the conference ends for next year. So for us, it's just amazing.
In the last decade, thousands have walked the floors of the exhibit hall. Hundreds have given presentations on preparedness, and dozens have been recognized for their leadership. And every one of them has been motivated by a sense of service to the community.
This conference has become a legacy to our community. I believe that it will remain and keep growing as the years move forward. It just shows that, dreams do come true. And this is truly a legacy that we can leave for our community. It's always going to be needed. We've seen all different types of calamities, and what peace of mind we can give to our community knowing that the people that they are counting on are prepared.
People say that, did you ever think that it was going to grow to be this big? Yes. Yes. Proudly, yes. With the leadership we have in South Texas, with the police chiefs, the fire chief, the emergency managers, we're a very tight community. So we've had to learn to rely on each other. We have the spirit, the teamwork, and the leadership that were going to provide us that educational force to make this happen. So my answer is proudly, yes, I saw it getting this large, and I'm very proud that it is.
The work of the South Texas All Hazards Conference will endure for years to come.
Putting that together. We appreciate that. It's hard to believe that it's been, well, you can hear me now. Hard to believe that it's been 10 years. Back up. Hard to believe it's been 10 years since this all got started. I remember we started with a much smaller group over in the convention center across the street, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we're in here and in this beautiful facility, and I think you're in for, I'm not sure if treat is the word today. I think you're in for an experience today with our keynote speaker. I think I will go with experience. I think that's what we'll call it. So let me talk about the gentleman we're going to hear from today. Petty Officer Marcus Luttrell joined the U.S. Navy SEAL team in 1999 and became a combat-trained SEAL in 2002. After years of training and deployment to Iraq, he was deployed to Afghanistan in the spring of 2005. As a SEAL, Luttrell was trained in weapons, demolition, and unarmed combat. In 2007, Luttrell earned the Navy Cross for combat heroism by President George W. Bush after recuperating from near-fatal injuries that he got during Operation Red Wing. Following his retirement from the military, Luttrell authored the #1 New York Times best-selling book, Lone Survivor, which tells the story of the harrowing story of 4 Navy SEALs who went into the mountainous border of Afghanistan and Pakistan in Operation Red Wing. An unparalleled, inspiring story of grace and survival. The book is a moving tribute to Luttrell's friends and teammates who did not make it off the mountain. His incredible story made the leap to the big screen with the blockbuster film Lone Survivor, directed by Peter Berg and starring Mark Wahlberg as Luttrell. Please note, Luttrell is a tell-it-like-it-is combat veteran. Okay, so some of what he describes may be a little bit disquieting to some here. Just know that going in. He's dedicated his life to service and inspiration. His experiences have given him a unique perspective on how to overcome life's challenges, determination to accomplish whatever task is set before him, and most importantly, to never quit. Please join me in welcoming Marcus Luttrell. It's a long walk from the green room. He's coming. We'll continue that when he gets out here, right? If you've not seen the movie, you should. Let me just say that. It will change your life. All right, once again, Marcus Luttrell. Welcome, sir.
How you doing?
Good to have you. Good to have you. Where do you want to sit? You pick a seat. There you go. This is kind of weird. I'm going to turn this one so I can see you, okay? Let's turn this around so we can see each other. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to rearrange a little bit.
See my face.
There we go. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you, sir?
Man, I'm blessed and unstoppable.
We're glad to have you in South Texas.
I love coming down here.
Do you?
I've been coming down here since I was a boy. I have some family that live down here now, so it's an easy flight from Houston. It's only an hour to get to y'all.
We appreciate that.
You bet. Back in the day when I was a poor college kid and everything, we had to drive. That was a long way.
Spring break on South
Spring break.
Padre, right?
Spring break.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was just last
All the
week.
Texans in here know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think I saw you out there last week. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, that was you. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You know, South Texas is a large group representing a bunch of counties in South Texas, a bunch of leaders, a bunch of community people, and I think what you've got to tell them today is going to be really important. So it's going to be an experience.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that's what it's all about. So let's go back. Let's go back to East Texas. Talk about growing up in East Texas and what that was like for you.
I was born in Houston, St. Luke's. I have an identical twin brother, for those of you who aren't familiar with my backstory, and I mean identical. We're mirror twins. He's left-handed, I'm right-handed. He's left-eye dominant, I'm right-eye dominant. Where God split us down the middle, all right, where we combine, we're exactly the same. But he's a lot different than I am on one side, and I'm a lot different than he is on the other. He's only 7 minutes older than me, which means back in the day, he'd be the king. He lets me know that. He still talks down to me. He's a United States congressman now, and now he really talks down to me. The great part about this, because everywhere we went growing up, he would open his presents before me. He would drive everywhere we went. I wasn't allowed to do that. But now, since he's a congressman, he works for me. I'm a voter. So things have changed. But we're absolutely inseparable. Any brothers, twins out there, you know what I'm talking about. He's my hero. He's kind of been the guiding force everywhere we went. I like to tell everybody, man, I'm just spare parts. I was what was left. My own mother didn't even know she was having twins. This was back in the 1900s. We were all poor.
Back in the 1900s.
You know what I'm talking about? We didn't have that tech. Like, you can just walk in now and there's tech for something. We didn't have that. So I grew up on a horse ranch. Thoroughbreds and quarter horses, actually. And anybody who grew up on a ranch, you know what that means. You got school, you got your discipline, you got your manners, and you got the animals. That's kind of how I was raised. In our family, it's my father was real big on the fact that he wasn't my friend. Bless you. He would tell me that all the time. He's like, I'm not your friend at all. You understand me? I'm your father. Reason being is because y'all do stupid things, and there's got to be one person to keep your butt in check. You understand that? It even says it in the Bible. You're not really supposed to like your father. You're loved and beloved by your mother. I come from a matriarchal family. The women run the show, still to this day. Especially Texas women. They don't play, man. So the only time I would ever see my father was when he came to beat us back into check if we got out of line. Your father is your dad. He's designed for discipline. Your mother is designed for your manners. That's why you need both of them, especially as a man cub. The only time I would ever get really tuned up is when I got out of line with the women. Like I was disrespectful or if I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Just because I was growing. And then I got a twin. But my mother is absolutely meaner than my father, come to find out. He was scared of her, and I'm terrified of my father. He's dead. I'm still scared of him. So in my family, it's customary for all the men and women to kind of serve in the military, even before we were a country. You go far enough back, anybody in here do that 23andMe? Well, we did. You can find some stuff out in there. So we traced our family back, and we've had somebody in the scrap, in the fight for this country long before we were a country. However, it's not broadcast. It's not advertised in my family, and we definitely don't push it on you. My father would say, before you exploit this country, son, you're going to serve her in some form or fashion. I didn't have any idea what that meant. Not when I was a kid. I have a great understanding of what that means now. As an American, man, you need to step in and get some of your humble pie. Join the service, throw on a uniform, put a badge on, put something on your arm or your head that identifies you. Yeah. And what I've learned now is how far that really carries you. You won't know about it till you take the uniform off. Until you get around us and see what that's actually about. Imagine when you step into your boot camp, that's kind of your pledgeship, your initiation phase. And as you're going through your job, your career in the uniform, that's you proving yourself to the veterans. When you get out, we're waiting on you. It's like your rite of passage. I didn't know that. I thought the best part was being in. It's not. It's when we got out. And they removed me. I came out kicking and screaming. I loved being in the service. You know, you just get beat up. Life's designed to kill us. Do y'all know that? Absolutely is. And you know that because when we die, it just keeps going. Your job is to learn how to survive while you're in here. Period. I remember when we had the idea about being in the military. It was my brother's idea. And like I said, this was back in the 1900s. I don't know. We used to have a book that you'd have to read to understand what was on the television. It's called a TV guide. And then we had a TV on the ground, and there was another TV that sat on top of it. That's the one you actually watched. And then, remember that?
I do remember that. We had that.
And there was a book. It had time slots and everything of when something was going to come on television. So you actually had to have your butt in front of the TV to watch stuff on the military to become a Navy SEAL. That's how we got into that. And I think my brother may have saw a movie or I read an article about something about being SEALs, and he was like, hey, man, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be Navy SEALs. And my father wasn't too, I think he treated it just like everybody else treats somebody who says they're going to be a Navy SEAL. You're not going to make it. It's too hard. Back then, they didn't even talk about it, what they did for a living. It's just one of those deals. It's kind of an understood thing. My brother and I, being identical twins, were born real early, a few months. And he died a couple of times. I mean, we were both in incubators. It was great looking back at it now because we didn't grow like everyone else. And when we were born, he had one of my eyeballs and I had one of his, and we were always looking at each other. Like you can't believe. I was funky looking. I mean, kids these days are all beautiful. Have y'all noticed that? Like all the kids on the ground are good looking. They weren't ugly like we were and funky looking. I think we got kind of caught in that transitional period. Because my hips grew real big, real fast, and my knee, I mean, I just looked like a stork that swallowed a turtle and it got stuck in its neck, right? Because my hips kind of hung out like that. And I had a row of teeth like a great white shark. Anybody watch Shark Week? I look like that. And my father, he's great. He's like, man, you're funky looking. He's like, but that's okay. He's like, you're going to be trained. I'm going to train you to deal with life. Every day of your life, I'm going to teach you something about what's out there. And through that, you'll gain a great appreciation for yourself and for those around you. And my father was mean. Anybody grow up with a mean father? I mean, like mean. When he came around, it hurt. That kind of father. But he taught me so much about being a man. And when you're a kid, you can't appreciate it because you're a kid. I didn't know that. I tried to run from him. He'd always catch me. He'd always catch me. And he said, every day of your life, I'm going to give you discipline. Through that, you'll gain respect. Respect for yourself and respect for other people. The only time you ever lose your respect is when you lose your discipline. And you're the only one that can throw that away. And when you're growing up, you throw it away all the time. I did. I probably still do. I mean, I failed in front of y'all my entire life. Y'all know, I mean, that's a fact. Y'all know that. I get up and get my ass whipped in front of y'all all the time, up until the point it became a job for me. Like I started to eat that up. I couldn't help it. You know, you're designed a certain way. You need to know that. And if it comes calling down and you get that uniform on your back, wear it. Don't let that sucker wear you, man. When you walk in the door, it ain't what you're wearing, is what's inside that uniform. And the uniform is forever. We get to wear it for a little while. You put your name on it to identify yourself. But then you take that sucker off and pass it down to the youth. You better hope we train them. My father would always tell me, he's like, I'm doing this stuff to you because I need you to teach my grandson this, not you. This is for the pass down. I couldn't understand that. In my world, 0 to 40, no wife, no kids, married to the life. Matter of fact, we didn't even think we'd live to see 40. When I hit 40, everything changed. I was like, damn, what am I going to do now? I'm beat to death, put together by titanium. You know, my brain's been hit so many times, it's got bruises, and my body has dents. Anybody got dents in your body? How about that? And then you got another 40 or 50 to go. So, you know, pace yourself or don't. Some of us just go so hard in the paint, can't stop them. Imagine when you come in here to live, man, you're just learning how to regulate your machine. Trying to figure out how to operate this sucker. And the best part about having friends and people in the uniform is they're there to teach you. You got something you don't like, don't worry. The Almighty will put a human right next to you that does exactly what it is you don't like. Just so you can learn to deal with it. Those of you who've been around long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I remember growing up, I had a great childhood. I did. I mean, I look back on it and I thought it was the best thing ever. But it was hard. Anybody have one of those? It's like every day when you get up, you get kicked in the face. After a while, maybe you need to start thinking that that's your job. Take an ass whooping somebody else won't. And then you'll start to realize, like, hey, I can attack this thing. And when you get up in the morning, what does your day do to you? Does it kick your butt? Or do you wake up wanting to go out there and scrap? Because if you're in a uniform, I hope that's the way you think. You automatically identify yourself as one of those. So when you get up and you're tired, that's your tired day. Go out and fight like you're tired. If you got your energy, use that, because somebody else won't. That's how it works. That's why we get put together. And he taught me all that. He was real adamant about that. I never saw him very much, but when I did see him, the only thing he said to me was worth something. Anybody else ever do that? Usually comes with the elders. The only time you open your mouth is to say something positive to somebody. Or do you open your mouth to cut somebody down? He said this to me too. He's like, every time you open your mouth to talk bad about somebody, 2 people are talking bad about you behind your back somewhere else. Do you know that? Think about that next time you try to talk some smack. Like there's sometimes people ask you for something and you'll go to say it. Just think about it. Because the minute you do that, somebody's talking about you. And when he told me that hit me in the chest like a bat. You know, I was like, okay, roger that. And he just systematically set up my discipline. Because in the beginning, if you don't have any of that, the reason you have the people around you are to protect you from life. And then we slowly put you out there. I always wanted to be nowhere near my father because of how mean he was. But I also wanted to be around him all the time to get that. What kind of moral conundrum is that, huh? Thank God I had my brother, because he just took it. Like he would take it. And then he kind of was the shield that blocked me from all that. From that rage. And that's probably why he turned out the way he did. Anything you think you've heard about me and what I've been through is nothing compared to what that joker's been through. And he's still college graduate, Ivy League education, and a congressman. I'm kind of a loser. I don't want to say about that.
Just a seal.
You know, I think maybe I need to get my butt back in gear and start doing something. That's the best part about having the men and women around us all the time when you look at them and watch what they've been through and you hear what they've accomplished. Like somebody walks in and they say they're a doctor, we all perk up when they hear that. If you're a doctor in here, know that. Like when you drop, we know you've been through something. Humans automatically register to that. For whatever reason, and know this, your eyes eat first. Your eyes eat first. Whatever walks in that door, you've already summed him up and down. You've already formulated your own opinion or your perspective, depending on how old you are. What comes into play is when they open their mouth. That changes things. Or the way they act around somebody. We all watch that. You can live your whole life and not say one word and know a lot. It's like it's your ability to look at something and feel that and get hit by it and then come back with something positive. It was the only way you get through this. And my brother, man, he's great at that. I mean, do you ever notice, like, no matter how hard you train at something, you can't pick it up? Anybody have that problem? Like, no matter how hard I try to keep my cool, when this happens, I always lose my cool. I think that's stitched in you. You can't help it. All you can do is recognize it and work on it the best you can. How I mean, some of that stuff that we have to deal with in life is kind of dealt to you. And no matter how hard you try to get around it, it's on you. And I'll never have to deal with it. Ever. But I watch you have to go through it. And then you're going to have to sit there and watch me go through something that'll never touch you. Each human being is like that. That's the one thing I recognize coming up with y'all.
Wow. Wow. Well, just so you know, my first paying job was delivering TV guides.
Are you kidding me?
And my first non-paying job was I was the remote control for my father on the
Yeah,
television. You were there too.
Channel.
Yeah, exactly. So as civilians,
that's why they laid us on the floor.
Exactly. You lay on the floor right in front of the TV.
On
Exactly.
the floor, right by the TV.
Just reach up and change
right
it.
there and turn it
Our
down.
eyes are still messed up today.
Right?
So as civilians, what can we do to support veterans like yourself and the others who are in this room today? What can we do?
Support us? Our job is really to support y'all. It's reversed, so let's start out like that.
Okay.
Anybody in the uniform, we put that on, it's reversed. It's like something that's in our heart and stamped in there, you can't help it. You try to pull that guy out of that uniform, he'll find another one to put on. I don't think we even want you to just to out of your way recognize it, but just live your life in the best way that you can, knowing that there are people getting their ass kicked for you. And dying. Kids. War is old men lying and young men dying. You know that? Oh, and there's this. The best you got will die first. One of them has probably had the cure for cancer, and he got his ass killed because we couldn't figure out how to talk to each other. You know that? You can't. And I'm not putting that, it's on all of us. The minute you try to separate yourself from the uniform from our people, then you've separated yourself from the uniform from our people, and that's not the case. It's like, man, we're a family. We're a family. If you go back far enough, I'll find a connection between me and you. You understand that? And I know that now. I kind of thought that in the beginning, but I absolutely know that now. So when you come at me in a foul mood, when you're stirred up, whatever it is, man, I'm always in the back of my head going, he's my family. I gotta deal with this because I love you. Because for whatever reason, the Almighty put your butt next to me, so I got to deal with it. And when you start to think like that, it helps. Everybody in here has got family members that everyone else can't stand. But you're good to them. What the hell's that about? And we do, that's human nature, man. We do that. And if you could somehow, and this is the hardest part, like if you could somehow muster that in your head when you're dealing with other people, it's because color throws us off, what you wear throws us off, what you drive throws us off. Somebody steps out of the car and they want you to see them in a certain way, they can do that. They can hide. They can't hide forever, though. Once they open their mouth, that'll tell you what you want to know. Once you put them in a situation, like if you're dressed in that uniform or that badge and stuff goes bad and you're the first one out the door, I know you weren't supposed to be wearing that uniform. Because you can tell most of the guys in here, when something goes bad or when someone gets loud, they'll all look like this. And then they'll stand up and kind of mosey on, oh, you can't help it. It's like whatever that is, that magnet draws them to that. They can't help it, period. And I've been around long enough to know that. When they say that youth is a tool, it absolutely is. It's a tool for you to take pain. And you can do that when you're young. But after a while, man, we start to grow out of that. Like you just learn what causes pain. And because of that, you're able to not avoid it, but when you're in it, you can deal with it. And then you can look over at somebody younger than you just getting smashed. And you know why that's happening, because they just hadn't been prepared, because they're not old enough. Life's going to dole you a whipping at certain ages just because that's what happens. It's designed to teach you a lesson. For sure. The best way I ever heard that explained is this way. Y'all ever hear mind, body, and spirit? You ever hear that term, mind, body, spirit? Hear it all the time, right? A lot of times together, most of the time separate. It's like, oh, his mind's this, his body's this. Okay, so when you're born one of three. Check out the body people. People are born into this world body people. You know when they walk in the frickin' door. You can see them. They got muscles on them like you can't believe. And you're not born like that. Body people have to earn that. That's why they say this thing's made of clay. If you don't like the way it looks, you can change it in 2 weeks. You can mold it. And it tells you something about them. Man, that sucker's got discipline, because after 24 hours, that starts to go away. So he's got discipline. She's got discipline. Not only that, they can take pain. Not only that, they'll put pain on themselves to do that. And they got a routine. They can follow a routine like you can't believe. Their diet's probably squared away. Everybody knows when you see one of them. And then you got people who are born in this world, they're the minds. You can't really recognize them when they walk in. I mean, they can dress a certain way. Maybe they'll put Harvard on their shirt, MIT, something like that. But you got to wait for them to open their mouth. And then immediately when they do, you know what they're like, oh, he got something in him. She's got something going on there. Everybody knows that. The mind people, like the nerds, they really don't like going into the gym. They don't like the athletes. For whatever reason, them two don't get along very well. They just don't. And then you got the spirits. We all know who they are. They come walking in the door, they'll have a Bible in their head, they'll hit you with it. They got beads or crystals tucked in their pants. They smell a certain way, kind of funny sometimes. Everybody knows them, right? Yeah. Yeah, the spirits usually don't hang out in the gym or the school. They're free spirits. That's the way they are when they talk to you. They talk to you in the spirit. It's all calm and nice. Athletes talk to you like, hey, let's go. You know what I'm talking about? And then the minds will hit you with some logic. Y'all ever run across anybody that trains all three of them? No, probably not. They're dangerous. I know one, she's in the room right now. You can't believe how dangerous a person is that takes the time out of their day or their week to train all three of your mind and body and spirit. Life will do that, and with age. When you first come into this world, man, that's a body phase, right? You don't start learning until you get 7 years old up until you graduate. And then hopefully your parents are sticking some spirit stuff in there. But you can't help it. But if you ever run across anybody that trains all three of them, like they go to the gym, they put some material by the toilet and read that, or they go to school, and then they hit the church house on Sunday. Look, when you walk in the door, and my job is to take you down, I'm going to look at your body first. Like I said, the eyes eat first. If you're weak, body-wise, I'll come at you like that. There's some stuff I can say to break you down mentally like you can't believe. But if you've trained your body and you train that mind to absorb that, then I can't get you. I can't get you physically or mentally. All right, I'm going to come after your spirit. You ever seen somebody who's dressed up in a body that just looks badass? And then they talk real smart, and then they get in the game, and something goes bad, and they get broken because their spirit can't handle it? Their spirit can't carry what they've created. You've got to train all three of those. You ever seen anybody that doesn't have the body for something, but their spirit is on fire so much that they can't be stopped? You ever seen that? I'm sure you have. That's one that doesn't look like it fits the part. But for whatever reason, there is an exception to every rule. And you'll even say it out loud, like, please, God, don't let that be the one I'm thinking it is. You're like, yeah, that's him. That's her. That's the one you want right there. Right? Yeah, we don't pick that up in the beginning. Because parents of spirits raise them like that. The parents of the athletes, like, my son's, this. And then for whatever reason, those contend with each other, when in fact, you're supposed to train all three of them. I think one of the most dangerous things down here is a man who doesn't have discipline or doesn't have his spirit sharpened up, or his mind's not sharpened, because the most dangerous thing down here is an undisciplined human mind. I mean, we were put on this planet to subdue the earth. Think about that. And when we got that done, it's probably why we invented sport, so we wouldn't kill each other. Because we can do that like you can't believe. And it's not that hard to kill a human being. And we got some weapons out there that can kind of make you wonder. But that's just what we do. That's why we always got to train this part. Because for whatever reason, man, we like to get riled up. That's in our nature. It just is. Can't hide from it. What you can do is train it, though. You can train it. And that's one of the things my father did for me. And he always passed me to the men and women that can do it better. I have kids now, and the best thing I did my entire life was meet y'all. My father said, make a friend in every town over money because you can't believe what that can buy. So if I am raising my kids and I see them doing something, I was like, oh, I got a human for that. And I'll take him right over to him or her. Put them down for a couple days and let them just talk to them, teach them. Because for whatever reason, when I try and tell my kids something, they don't hear me. They don't hear me. And then a kid will walk in that's a couple years older than they are and say the same thing I did, and they'll get it. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't understand until you become a father, till you become a grandfather. You get that G status, till you throw that uniform on and become an officer of the law. My favorite part about this is everybody who complains about the law, they're the ones that wrote it. And then they get mad at the ones that they pay to enforce the law on themselves. That don't make any sense. But that's what we do. How many of y'all in here like to be naughty till you get caught? Everybody raise your hand. It was rhetorical. Yeah. Okay. That's my point. It's like we do that. I don't know what it is, man, but we do. We like to get rowdy and have fun, and we got to have our rules just so we can live, stay alive, maintain. That's all that's there for. Like, hey, you having a good time? You want to keep having a good time? We got to do this. And then we'll go back to breaking the law, and then you know what I'm talking about? Like, we'll bend it. We won't break it, but we'll bend it. We can rationalize anything as humans. That's why you got to have the ones above that have made the rank and lived, and when they come back on you, and they got that December, that white up in here on their face. You know, you have to earn that. You got to earn your gray and your white. And when they walk in, your gray is your wisdom and your white is your spirit. So you know, it's an identifier. They got to be around. Because just by you sitting in here, it keeps people in check. By him being in this room, people got in check. When she's in here, we all know that. That's how you hold humans accountable. You put another human right next to them. For sure.
So this is wisdom, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
This right here? This is spirit?
Wisdom and spirit. Right?
I like the way you think. I like that a lot.
Oh, when I heard that one, I was like, I'm going to steal it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I may borrow it as well.
Yeah, I got that one.
As Marcus always says, pretty soon it'll be as I always say.
People try to get rid of your wisdom. They die it out. I'm like, no, man, die your wisdom out.
No, you don't want to do that. When I read, I highlight, I take notes, things like that. We'll get some water out here. That'd be great. In your book, and again, I highlight things and go back and look at them again. Reno Alberto told you, Marcus, the body can take damn near anything. It's the mind that needs training. How do you train your mind?
Okay, the body's for that. Imagine, because in the good book, when it talks about man, like that body doesn't really belong to you. It's grown here. It's a living thing. And your spirit gets stuck in there. So look at it more as an avatar than just all one piece. Because your spirit's in there trying to drive this sucker. And your body is designed to exist in this realm. Logical? That makes sense? Okay. Imagine in your mind there's a list of protocols that your soul wants to feel. And the only way your immortal soul can feel that is to live life, to experience pain. Because the minute you hit that sucker, it gets stronger. Do you know that? Like, we don't get weaker unless you die. Every time I hit you with something, you get more powerful. Anybody in here fight? Like when we're standing next to the wall and you're just sitting there punching that wall, eventually these knuckles become that wall. If you're hitting wood, it'll become stronger than wood. If you punch metal long enough, this thing will become as hard as metal. And that works for every piece of your body. You ever run across some guy just covered in scars, and when they talk to you, you just know, like just a hard dude. Like you can tell. Human beings by nature, when you see something, you freaking know it, and no one can talk you out of it. They can talk you into it, man, but they can't talk you out of it. Y'all know that when you see it. It's as plain as sitting in here. So when you're sitting there and you wake up in the morning and your mind's and your spirit's getting antsy, and it's like, I need to move. Move! You'll know when something's trying to hurt you. Absolutely. There are bad things down here. They'll show up in human form, trying to talk you into something that you've already been trained not to do. But imagine when you get up, the whole purpose is to go out there and take some punishment. We collect scars in this family. I hope y'all got some. I'll teach you more about yourself than any book could. Matter of fact, those books are usually written off people who've been stumped. Every self-help book, all that motivational stuff that's all written that everyone loves to read, that's written by people who've been in it. Now, you can go into the hard times and come out there with that negative attitude and tell everybody it was horrible. You can go in there, get your butt kicked, come back out and tell everybody, it's like, hey, it was tough, man, but I got through it. You know what that does to the human being that you're sitting next to? I mean, we're all created equal, right? So if I know that you've been through something and you took it and you came out with that attitude, I can do it. I just needed to see somebody do it. Period. Especially our ladies. Y'all can take pain like you can't believe. That's why y'all got tasked up with the birth thing. I didn't know this, man, but you know, like men, our muscles on the outside of our fat. That's the reason we can take pain on the outside. Did you know that? Women, it's reversed. Your fat's on the outside. And your muscles are on the inside. That's why you can take pain on the inside. Like you can run across a woman who's got 9 kids, that's a UFC champion. I mean, I watched my wife give birth that first time and I didn't want anything. Back in the day when God put first the 2 of us down here, he's like, hey, look, in order to survive down here, one of y'all is going to have to go through this. And he showed us childbirth. You know, the dude was like, I'll be outside tilling the ground. You can have all that you want, and I'll give you the world. It's like when men work out and women work out together in 2 weeks, men are already showing. Women, it takes you about 4 because you're tightening from the outside, from the inside out. You see a woman walking around that's yoked up? Whoa. I mean, impressive to put the work in for that. But the way that these things are designed, we're designed to take it on the outside. That's why we have that, the testosterone, all that stuff that goes into that to make that happen. Doesn't mean that we can take as much pain as y'all. It's not what that means. Y'all can take it. I've seen it. So don't ever deny the fact that when you're standing around somewhere, man, that you can't handle, we can. You damn sure can. And the mental part. Y'all are great at that. Man, you get something affected, you get a good cry out, and it's over. Like a dude will hold on to it for months. A guy cut me off in traffic one time, man. I chased him. I used to think about the car he drove for 6 months. I was like, I can't wait till I see that guy again. I don't know what that is. But it happens. It surely does, man. So when you're out there and you're stepping into the breach, like you're loading yourself into the gun being in this room. You've already identified yourself to me as that. Like your willingness to take pain for other people, which is a blessing to you, and it helps you get into heaven. So don't forget that. It's real easy to forget what you are. And the reason we don't want you to do that is because we identify you. We cover you in all kinds of stuff. Not only so you can identify it, but so our people can. Like there are certain words we say down here, and the minute you hear it, you're like, oh. They're one of those. A doctor, lawyer, ranger, Marine, SEAL. You hear those words, you know what goes with that. That's why we have such a hard time when people say there's something and they're not. I mean, is that illegal? You know, we don't really think so, but it's a problem. Because what if you tell me you're something, then the situation presents itself that you're supposed to be able to handle, and you can't handle it? Well, then we're in trouble. And people often wonder why we get on to people when they impersonate officers or a certain kind of like, well, there's a reason behind it. It's not the one you think either. It's because, man, they get people hurt. Or they don't know the rules that govern my ability to wear that uniform. Because those are etched in blood. You know, the minute we dropped a flag down here and somebody bled over it, it implemented those rules. And we've continually done that for our entire existence. I don't know if anybody's pointed this out to y'all in the beginning, but if you're sitting in this room right now, congratulations, because you made it. You lived. I don't know if y'all are aware of this. About the time we came of age, looking at everybody in this room, was 9/11. We got smacked right in the face. Punched right in the face. And then we had 2 wars for 20 years. You lived through that. Oh, by the way, in the middle of that, we had a housing crisis. They took all our homes away from us. Right after that, we had a biblical freeze and a biblical flood. You went through that. What happened after that? Oh, we got you sick. We got all of us sick together. And you lived through that. What happened after that? Man, they grounded us to our rooms. Americans, man, there's a couple of things we don't like at all. One's to be insulted, right? We don't like that. We don't like that. You can do almost anything to us. Slap us around, we'll go down to a knee, man. But when you start trying to insult us or look at us like we're ignorant, we don't like that. The one thing we hate is when you look at us as weak. Because the last thing we are is weak. Like we'll accommodate and we'll assimilate, man, but the last thing we are is freaking weak. You put that title on me, you obviously don't know who you're dealing with. But look at my people. You know, there are people who went underground, won't ever come back up. More people died, you can't believe it. All this, we've been suffering like you can't believe. I mean, if I was going to make us all a family again, how would I do that? I'd have to put us in something together. Remember what 9/11 did to us? Man, when we suffer together, that changes things. And when you suffer, period, it changes things. That's why you're here. Each one of you are going to be dealt a hand, a cross. You're going to be dealt a cross. And it'll either crush you to the freaking ground, to a blobbering mess, and you just lay there and complain about it, or you'll pick it up, haul ass with it, and run right into the crowd and tell them not only did you take it, you can handle it, and you know how to get through it, just by living through it. Just by living through it. Each one of you's got it. You're going to get one. Know that. And it's all different for us. But we can all see each other suffering. And like if you've literally come across somebody and they are suffering, help them out. That's obviously why you got sent in there. Help them out while they're suffering. And if you're in a uniform and you're having some hard times, so what? That's what we do. Welcome to the family. We just forget that sometimes. But do you know, when I turn on the TV and I watch y'all down here getting just the war that y'all are in, going through that, and you still keep going into it, you know what kind of fire that lights up in me? I know what that feels like, what y'all are in right now. I'm just not having to go through it like you. You know how motivating that is to me to watch y'all go through that? How powerful I feel when I see y'all uniform up every single day and go in and do something that you weren't even trained for? You don't think that resonates with everybody in America? We just don't tell you. All you hear is the bad stuff. Because I'm molding you. You know how you temper steel? This is what my SEAL instructor said to me one of the first days in training. He's like, you know what we're doing to you here? We're going to get you really hot, really cold, and we're going to beat the mess out of you. That's how you temper steel. And that's what's happening to y'all right now. You're getting tempered in every direction. You don't think when we're done with this how strong you're going to be? We're going through a transitional period right now. I know everyone knows that. We're upside down in every direction, and there's some weird stuff going on that we have never seen before, right? And the only thing I can think of, man, is we're transitioning to something. Because Americans, we don't get weaker, we get stronger. Period.
Talking about SEAL training, what do you think, looking back at that, it's been a couple of years, what was the most valuable part of that SEAL training that got you to where you are, to be where you are today?
That's a great question. I mean, there's so many components in that. It's almost like every day of my life after I got out, I would think about something that it taught me. I was like, oh, okay, I see why they did that to me. Because a lot of times when you're in a training platform or you're in life or you're in your job and you're getting your face kicked in, you think it's on purpose, which it is, but you think it's personal, which it's not. I remember I signed up for every beating they would throw to me. I thought that was the sexiest thing I ever heard. I remember they told us, like, you get paid to take risks. You get paid to die if necessary. That's the job. And that called to me. That freaking called to me like you couldn't believe. And then there were days when I got in there. There were weeks when I got in there. There was a couple months after I got shot up real bad that I was kind of bummed out. The best way I could say that. But then I had y'all. And every time you would come visit me in the hospital or at the house, you'd be like, hey, great job. And how you're telling me great job after I thought I was a disaster? Like, yeah, you weren't a disaster. You just got your ass kicked. Good job. We all do. I was like, well, okay. Great. I never thought about it like that. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, the best thing that I ever experienced and that I came out of the SEAL teams with was the people. So in my fraternity, imagine every alpha from every walk of life. Doctors, lawyers, astronauts, bikers, billionaires, psychopaths, psychiatrists. All showing up into one fraternity. That's what you've created with the SEAL teams. That's what we are. And I would see guys that are there, like this one kid, he was the poorest kid you ever met. He was so poor, all he could do was join the Navy. And his best friend is a billionaire's kid. And they're inseparable. Absolutely inseparable. Which taught me, I'm like, hey, look, if you grew up in the city, get yourself a country friend. If you grew up in the country, get a city friend. Preferably a different color. Because they'll teach you some stuff about yourself that you can't even believe. Matter of fact, I called one of them up the other day. I was like, hey, man, tell me something about myself that upsets everybody. I asked my wife that. She's like, no, you're great. I called him up. He's like, oh, I'll tell you right now. He's straight up, like he had it waiting for me. And I was like, okay, brother, shoot me straight. He's like, man, you don't tell people no. He's like, you can have too big of a heart. Like even when somebody goes to do something they're not supposed to, you won't say nothing, or you definitely won't say no. As I became an adult and I grew into a man, I had to learn how to do that. That's the hardest part for us, especially if you're one of the boys. Hey, let's go do something dumb. That's a great idea. Like, nah, maybe we should, you got to figure out ways to tell somebody no. Instead of just saying no, which is so easy. And everybody's kind of been through this. You ever been in a situation where you looked at him like, I wish you would have told me no. And you're like, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I was like, well, I got hurt physically. So, look, if you're sitting somewhere and that word crops up in your head and it won't go away, hit them with it. That's how the Almighty works. Look, if something's been stewing in that brain of yours, and somebody haphazardly, by coincidence, if you think those really exist, walks up, and that line that you've been sitting on perfectly fits the scenario, you might want to give it to them. Is that understandable? You never know. We were talking about this backstage. Most of the time when you open yourself up and you talk to somebody, you're affecting them in a way that you can't even believe, and it's not the things that you want to say. It's like the conversation. And then you'll have those times when you try and make a point to somebody, and they won't hear that. It's almost as if the minute you try to make a point, they switch from just an everyday attitude to a learning attitude, or I don't want to hear that attitude. And when it happens, it's like human nature. But never be afraid to articulate what you are, where you're at in the situation. You all know if it's negative. You know when you want to beat somebody down. Y'all know that. Especially if you're over 30. You freaking know that. You know you can be mean. You got some weapons in your arsenal. The deadliest weapon down here is that tongue. That sharp, double-edged sword, man. Because if you kill somebody's spirit by cutting them down, you don't have to do anything to the body or the mind. Those things will break naturally. If you kill the driver, that thing won't move. And there are people that sharpen their tongue to where they can just tear you down in an instant. You know who they are, I'm sure. It usually takes somebody physical or with a sharp mind to walk in there and deal with them. So sharpen your weapons, but use them for good. It's so easy to break somebody down if you want to. It sometimes makes people feel good. Hurt somebody. Till after, till you see, because normally you don't see what it does. You don't see the after effects. It's kind of like when you run across a youngling, and they're doing something, and you say something to him, you're like, did he even hear me? Yeah, he heard you. Even if he argues with you and yells at you in the moment, that's a defensive mechanism. That sucker heard you. When he walks off, she walks off, they heard you. So it's okay, especially if you've been put in the position to do that. A lot of people don't like to make rank. A lot of people I hated this. From being one of the boys to being the boss. That happened to me overnight. I'll never forget it. I walked in the room, everyone was sitting in there, they were laughing, joking and joking, telling jokes, and when I walked in, everyone got serious. And I was like, I like to laugh. I got a great sense of humor. What's the joke? They're like, nah. All the leaders in here know exactly what I'm talking about. And please know, if you're not in that leadership position yet and you're heading towards it, that we hated it too. We just did. I mean, if you got some guy sitting around as a brand new guy going, I was like, I can't wait to be in charge, worry about that dude. Because most of us avoid it. Avoid it like anything, like the plague. But when we get in there, you do your job, you do it right. You don't have to apologize for it at all. I mean, if you know that you're supposed to be doing something, get your butt in there and do it. You can't believe. And always remember when you were underneath and you were having to do that. I had to do that with my kids. But my oldest son got in a situation that I got into when he was in college. He's sitting right here. I'll never forget this. And the minute he did it, I called one of my friends because I did the exact same thing in college. And I called my buddy up. I was like, hey, I need some advice. He's like, what's up, man? I was like, oh, Hunter did this. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, remember when we did that? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, what should I do? And he goes, okay, well, this was what my father did to me, and it didn't work. So do this. And I did that, and it worked. So like if you got some buddies around that have been through something before, call them up. Use that information. And it worked out famously. He's a great kid. He's sitting right here. But just know that everyone, we all mess up. We all go through some stuff, especially when you're with your buddies. You can't help that. It's almost like if you have the discipline for something and your friend doesn't, you jump in there with him to get him through it, but you also have to go through it. Anybody ever been in that situation? You're like, hey, man, what happened? You're like, oh, no. I was trying to help. Anybody ever had that one? I was literally trying to help. Okay, that's an experience. That's part of it, too. We've all been, like, if you see people laughing about that, then you know it's real. Like, if you've been in it. So if you get caught in it, just remember that. And my chief in the SEAL teams, I had one guy, my sea daddy, that's what they're called. It's kind of like my father figure while he was in there. And I work real hard. My work ethic is all I had going. Not the smartest, the fastest, the strong. I wasn't that guy. But I have a work ethic. I think that's a Texas thing. Texans, we can outwork you, period. And then I was a liberty risk. I'll be truthful about that. I like to have a good time. Work hard, play hard. Anybody ever get that delivered to you? I did. So I took that wholeheartedly. And, yeah. And had a great career. But when he would get on to me about it, he's like, hey, look, you didn't do anything I didn't do. As a matter of fact, I did it better. And you got busted. So when you get busted, you fess up. And I always did. And then everything worked itself out. Because, I mean, look, our people, we know, right? You know when you're watching TV and you can tell when someone's trying to tell you something ain't true? And they can do it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll go with it. And then there's those that shoot you straight. And we all talk about them. Like, hey, say what you want about that sucker, man, but he'll straight up shoot you the truth. He'll tell you what's going on. He don't care. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to live. It really is. And I learned that from the people around me. I'm real adamant. If you say something in front of me, I will stop you dead in your tracks and be like, can I steal that from you? I'm going to use it. So if you ever hear me saying that, and I'll even give you credit for it. I mean, each one of you have got a line that you use at certain situations that is just awesome. You've cultivated it to yourself, and the best part is when you use it. And we get to see that. It's smooth. You ever seen anybody real smooth? Like, hey, man, I don't know what he says, just smooth when he does it, right? They don't ever get in trouble. They can just ease through life. And then there's some people, when they open their mouth, you just want to hit them. That's just part of living in here. That's kind of what we got to deal with. It's supposed to be funny. All right? The best piece of advice I can give you is never let anybody's perception of you become your reality, and damn it, have a great sense of humor. Have a great attitude about it. Even as a young one. Like, you want to be the CEO, you want to wear that badge right there, the big one, you want to put on the big coat, have a great attitude in everything you do. Even when you're getting your butt kicked or whatever, just be like, it was terrible, but man, it was awesome. People see that. Like, and look, we all go through hard times, and the people who are miserable all the time, like you want to be around, but you don't. You want to hear what they have to say, but you don't, right? Have you ever heard anybody complain brilliantly? The British are great at it. The British can insult you, and you want to hear it again. Like, it's like, I feel like wisdom's been chasing you your whole life. You've just been too fast for it. You know, something like that, right? The perfect insult. They're just great at it. So if you hear somebody say something bad, don't be afraid to use it. Because a lot of times what happens is it brings levity to the moment. Like, it'll just clean the moment. Especially when we get all jacked up, the men especially, when you get fired up and you can't turn that off, and we go to fighting, and it's kind of hard to talk people out of it. It's like right now our people are so worked up, almost pissed off. And that's a word we use. There's levels. And you know as well as I do, once we get like that, especially as a people, if anyone tries to talk to you, you ain't going to hear it. You just won't. It'll just add to what you'll hear it a different way when you're mad. Anybody notice that? And then when you're calm and cool, things are just like, oh. When you say that when you're mad, it hits differently. When you say it when you're calm, it really hits. And we kind of looked at that for our leaders too, guys that calm under pressure. And the only way you become calm under pressure is go through pressure when you're not calm. It's like that's what you're going in to get, is the calmness. And the only place to find that is in the chaos. There's levels of that. And everyone knows that. You've been through a situation and it made you act a certain way, and then the situation showed up again, you acted a different way. That means you learned. I mean, y'all taught me this. Going through my program and everything, all the training that I've been through, y'all line this out for us. So when we get into that moment, I don't do something, I don't get violent, right? As opposed to I just switch it back. And it's as easy as that. Once you explain something to the human process and they pick it up, like they logically pick it up. Y'all remember when we were sitting in high school in math class? And the teacher explained math, and like the people, there's like 4 or 5 people that just, oh, I get it. And then there's some people that kind of like, I got to work at this a little bit. And then you got those in the back, like, I don't have a damn clue what you're talking about. Okay, when someone says something and everyone gets it, not only do they understand it, they can turn around and explain it in their way. That's logic. And the greatest teachers do that. Like, they don't try and put all, I mean, there's some books out there and there's some people, and I'm not trying to downgrade them, man, but they talk so deep that it's hard to understand. I mean, like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm trying to understand the complexity of it. And a lot of times that happens when you leave or later on down the day or in the week, you'll be like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Well, I can see it now, plain as day. It happens. It's almost like one of those deals is just kind of sitting there like a tracker, and then it's waiting for your moment. And then that sucker will explode. Be like, oh, Marcus said this. I hope you remember the line I taught you to say when you got on that moment, because that's how I had to learn. Anybody ever been in something you know what to say? Sure. Those are heavy. Those are real heavy. And all of those will present, especially as you grow up, in the uniform especially. It's like they're automatically programmed in there. So just take that. And you got one day in here. Yesterday is gone. I hope you did well. I hope you left the time remnant because it's going to show back up. Tomorrow is not promised to you at all, man. You could die walking out the door. We all know that. You have one day. When you get up in the morning, when my feet hit the ground, I say, I will serve. That's the first words out of my mouth. Someone taught me to do that, and I've been doing it for years. And then when you go out there and be like, what are you going to do to me in a day? What are you going to hit me with? Sometimes it's before you even get out of bed, you'll get hit, right? Mm-hmm. Just going to the shower. I was talking to Chief, he's talking about spilling his coffee. Look, if one thing goes wrong with you in your day, that's a day. If 2 and 3 things start like significantly going wrong with you, you're not behind the wheel. So somebody else is driving your day. That's kind of when you go into a reactionary mode. Like, okay, if I'm not driving the wheel, I better have my guard up because I'm learning something. I teach my athletes this. I'm like, hey, if you go out and win, you taught them something. If you go out and lose, you got taught something. That's the give and take. We get wrapped around some of these words, like loss, and I mean, they're applicable to some things, but we use them like haphazardly in other situations, and the word is the most powerful thing we got down here. Nothing exists without it. So when you open your mouth to use it, make sure it means something. Even if you want to hurt somebody with it. Don't half-ass hurt somebody with it. I mean, hey, it's your gun. It's your weapon. When you pull that pistol, when you go to that rifle, there's only one reason why you're doing that. In this room, there's only one reason why you pull that blaster out. And that's to end whatever was standing in front of you. Everyone else will pull it out to scare. They'll do all kinds of things with it. But warriors don't. They'll leave that sucker sheath where they won't ever have to pull it. And if they do pull it, stand by. If you left them no other option than for them out here to pull their freaking weapon, then it's game on. I'm sorry. And that's the same way with everything you use. You treat it like that because it is a weapon. Whether you know it or not, you're a weapon. We've identified that. How are you going? Who are you going to cut? Who are you going to kill? It's so much to think about, especially when you're young. And then you got the ones who are in the positions of authority. Man, we're trying to teach you all that. And ultimately what we're doing is we're just dealing with our people. And every moment they could possibly have. Good and bad. Good and bad.
Marcus? They give me the rap cue, which I get on TV all the time.
Yeah.
They're telling us we got to wrap it up.
I was wondering.
Well, this could go. I got 18 pages of questions.
I'm having a great time, so I'm probably talking a lot.
I have so many questions I want to ask, but they're telling me we're out of time. This has been fascinating, amazing.
Thank you.
Marcus Luttrell.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. God bless y'all.
Marcus Luttrell, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not seen Lone Survivor, go watch it tonight. You'll have a new appreciation for what you just experienced. It's lunchtime. Go enjoy your lunch. We'll see you back at 1:30. Go find a great place to eat. Thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure having you all here. Have a great day. Thank you.